for car damages and harassment.
Judge Judy enters the courtroom.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2003, Gaines versus Gaines.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Miss Gaines, you and the defendant are half-sisters. You share the same father.
Yes.
Have you always had a relationship with your father?
Yes.
And you, Miss Gaines?
Yes.
There came a time when you were living with your dad.
Yes.
From when to when were you living with your dad?
From October 2018 to December 2021.
And who was living at the same residence?
It was me, my dad, and a roommate, my dad's roommate.
No children?
Yes, my children stayed there as well. I do
Okay,
apologize.
well, that's important.
Sorry.
How many children?
I have 4 daughters.
How old are they?
11, 10, 4, and 5.
Were you working?
Yes.
From 18 to 21?
I stopped working in November 2019, and I started back working October 21.
What kind of work do you do?
I work for United Healthcare. I'm a customer service rep for Optum.
Just so that I get a sense, because this is a family issue, you clearly had a life before you moved to your father's house in 2018. Could you tell me why you moved into your father's house in 2018?
Because where I was living, the house was smaller, and my dad felt like he wanted me and my children to be in a safer environment.
So you had an ongoing, constant relationship with him?
Yes.
And Miss Gaines, tell me about you. Did you ever live with your father?
I lived with my father when I was in the 9th grade.
But not since you were a child?
No.
Did you maintain a relationship with him?
I did. Me and my father do mechanic work together most of the time, so I'm at his house a lot.
Was that a business that you had together?
Just more so for fun, family time. If he needed help, I could go in and assist him. I just use that as extra time.
And that was consistent and up through 2021?
Yes.
So you saw your sister there? Because she was living there with her children?
Yes. On occasion, though, her and her kids would be out more often. I would just go and visit my dad when the house was empty and he needed more company and help and assistance because he was there alone.
How old was he?
He's about 24 years older than me, so I believe he's like 59 now.
Did you see your sister at your father's house in the years that you were living there?
She came to visit, yes.
And they worked together on mechanical stuff?
I never saw that. Me and my sister, we had a close relationship, so she would come over and hang out with me all the time.
Okay, good. And then, unfortunately, something happened. You want to tell me when that was and what it was?
October, I believe it was the 30th, me and my sister, we got into an altercation.
Tell me the beginnings of it, because each of you claimed that the other harassed, claim your sister assaulted you, and both of you claimed some damage to automobiles that was caused by the other during the course of these altercations. Okay, so tell me what happened in October.
So the Thursday prior to the 30th, which was a Saturday in October, my sister was supposed to come to my house and do my kids' hair. But that was something that I had just asked her to do. Like we said, I stayed with my dad. They were having some issues, so
Who was having issues?
My sister and my dad.
Were you having issues with your father around that time?
I was told I was having issues with my father at that time by my sister Jessica.
Did you discuss it with your father?
I did, and I found out that that was a lie that Jessica had told him, was making up lies to make us not like each other.
Okay, so there was some bad feeling about that.
Right, so I was inviting her over because she was struggling, and I needed my kids' hair done for picture day. So
She was what?
Struggling.
Struggling.
Financially.
Okay.
So I offered to pay her to do my kids' hair. My dad did inform me that she wasn't able to come to the house, that I needed to go to her house. And I don't really know what her situation was like over there, so I let my dad know I was uncomfortable. And I also let her know our dad said it was not okay for you to come over here with us today. And he wanted an apology.
He wanted an apology?
Yes.
From her?
Yes.
Is your father well?
He has diabetes and
Okay, but there's nothing preventing him from coming to court. Okay, well then you can't tell me what he told you because that's hearsay. Did your sister come over to the house on October 30th?
Yes.
Approximately what time?
I believe 11:30 in the morning.
Had you had a conversation with her that morning and told her not to come over?
Yes.
Did you tell her why?
Oh, I can't speak on it because he's not here.
No.
I don't.
My question is, did you tell your sister why?
Yes.
What did you tell your sister?
That our dad did not want her there.
Is that what she told you?
That is what she told me.
Did you ask her why?
I did.
What did she tell you?
She told me that my dad was under the impression that I was hanging out with drug dealers and dangerous people, and that he didn't want me around.
Did you call your father?
I did.
And you had a discussion with him?
I did.
Were you invited over to the house?
I called.
That's either a yes or a no.
No.
So now you have information, whether accurate or not, that you weren't welcome in your father's house for whatever reason, or for the reason that was articulated to you. You called your father to confirm that, and your father did, in fact, confirm that.
He confirmed that there was a issue between Jessica and I, and that we needed to resolve it. He was not going to get involved with it. But he did not confirm that I was denied access to his house.
Well, just from my information, what did you think the issue was between you and your sister?
She was lying to my father.
Well, no, your father didn't say that your sister's lying to me. Your father had to have indicated to you that these are the things that I'm being told, and you have to resolve that with your sister.
Yes.
But your father told you not to come to the house.
No, he did not tell me not to come to the house.
Did he suggest you come to the house?
Neither. He neither suggested I come or not to. He just said I should
Resolve it with her?
Yes.
Okay. And you went over there that morning?
I stated to her that I would come over and resolve it right then and there.
You told him?
They were both on the phone. Okay. I called his cell phone.
Did your sister, then your sister said, I'm going to come over, and you knew she was coming?
Yes, she said.
Okay, that's a yes. You knew she was coming, so this wasn't a surprise visit. You knew she was coming. Now tell me what happened when she got there.
So when she gets there, me and my dad were standing outside already. She gets out of her car. I approach her car. It's a little back and forth, and then...
No, tell me the back and forth, and try to keep your voice up.
Sorry. So when I approach her car, she jumps out the car. Then she reaches for a taser. So then I close her in the door. And once my dad, we're outside together, he pulls me off the door. She then takes her car, it's a video. She's attempting to run me over with her car. She did manage to run over my foot. I then went in the house. I got a broomstick, like an attachment, like the broom wasn't attached. But I've got the broomstick, and I went outside and I started swinging it at her car. And I damaged the hood of her car and the window.
And then she left?
No. She stayed at the house. I went back in the house. She called the police, and I'm not sure what happened after she called the police.
Well, did the police arrive?
My dad informed me that we didn't know what she was telling the police, that when police come, everybody gets arrested. So he said, I had something to do that day, go get a facial at an appointment at 1 o'clock. So I just went ahead and headed off to that.
So you left?
Yes.
You knew she called the police and you left?
Yes.
Leaving your dad to explain to the police what happened?
My dad didn't talk to the police neither.
So they just came?
As far as I know, they just came, knocked on the door. When I called to see if there was a report made, the police said no report was made. That was it.
Okay, fine. So the damage that was done to your car was done with a broomstick handle?
Yes.
To her car?
Yes.
By you?
Yes.
Now, Miss Gaines, did you have a taser in your car?
I don't own a taser.
And when you got to the house, your father was standing with her?
No.
Where was he?
He was exiting the house. She was already, when I pulled up, she was exiting the house.
But he was outside?
She was already at the sidewalk when I pulled up. Okay. So he was at the door.
Well, why don't you tell me your version of what happened when you pulled up?
I pulled up. I was recording the incident on my phone. I don't have that recording because it was on Instagram. I didn't want the embarrassment to go on any longer. I tried to screen record it, but it didn't save.
Okay, so you don't have video?
I don't have that full video. I do have a short video of her actually attacking the car with the stick that she came out of the house with, though. So I do have that.
I'd like to look at it.
I have the full video.
Okay, I'd like to see hers, and thank you for telling me you have the full video.
Okay.
I think the full video might be more sufficient because I have bits and pieces of the video.
Kevin, I'm going to take both. Would you pull up the video that you have on your phone?
We're going to go over to my family member's house right now to find out why we want to fight me. She has literally did everything in her possibility to make my dad my enemy. She has moved into his house, told him I'm on drugs. My family have come up with the excuse that I'm on drugs, and that's why nobody has come to see me. Yeah, do it. I'm on live.
Video footage of Jessica hitting Joanne's car with a broom handle.
First, Ms. Gaines, you do understand that you damaged your sister's car.
Yes.
Okay, and that you have to pay for that. Your tires had already been flattened how many times?
3.
Do you have a bill for those tires?
When I went to court, when she was suing me for her car, I just took the receipts as proof, and when the judge took it, I never got it back.
No.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Jessica and Joanne.
Jessica Gaines claims her sister, Joanne Gaines, vandalized her car and harassed her. Joanne is countersuing for an assault and filing a false restraining order against her.
Okay, Ms. Gaines, you do understand that you damaged your sister's car.
Yes.
Okay, and that you have to pay for that.
She sued me for the damages already.
She sued you. Did she get the damages?
Yes.
Oh.
She was granted.
Okay.
Jessica hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Okay, so you sued her already and you got a judgment
Yes, for that incident,
for this damage.
but not the damage that would happen on December the 12th.
Just a second.
Sorry.
Okay, so we don't have to deal with this damage. And subsequent to this damage that you caused to your sister's car, you had damage to your car.
Yes.
And tell me what that was.
So on 3 different occasions, she came to my house and popped both of my tires on the driver's side of my car.
Okay, and this was after October 30th.
Yes.
You'd been living at your father's house for 3 years
Yes.
with your children. During that 3-year period of time, was your car ever damaged?
No.
Did you ever have tires popped on the car?
No.
Did you confront your sister at any time about the damage to your car?
No.
According to this, you have a video of her near your car
Yes.
on one of those occasions.
Yes.
I'd like to see it. Before I even look at it, Ms. Gaines, you received a judgment and were compensated for the damage to your car caused by your sister. Mm-hmm. Do you acknowledge that you or someone acting on your behalf flattened her tires?
One tire.
Okay, so you say you flattened them one time.
One tire, one time.
And when?
Right before November,
Okay, and what did you flatten the tires with?
knife.
So you
Just one
slashed.
tire.
She did say tires, didn't
Just
she?
one tire.
She said one tire, one time.
Okay, and that was in November.
Beginning of November.
Did you pay for that tire?
I did not.
And do you have photographs of the flattened tires?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at them. How many times were they flattened?
My tires were flattened 3 times.
Tires. How many tires the first time?
2.
How many tires the second time?
Sorry, I just want to make sure. 2.
How many tires the third time?
2.
And you filed a case against your sister for damage to your car on what date?
This is the court case I filed for damages for my car. Well, originally I just filed for
When did she file the case, I'm sorry, against you for damages to her car?
December 16th.
And your tires had already been flattened how many times?
3.
Do you have a bill for those tires?
Yes. Well, I had took the receipt before, so I don't have the receipt, but I have the police report where the police.
No, I want to see the receipt.
I'm sorry.
I need damages. You want damages, you have to show me that you spent money to replace the tires and how much they cost.
Yeah, I'm sorry. When I went to court, when she was suing me for her car, I just took the receipts as proof, and when the judge took it, I never got it back.
Did you countersue her for the tires when she sued you?
No.
Well, why would the judge take your receipts for the tire?
Because he took all of our evidence at the end of the case.
No. The only reason a court would take your evidence is if you had a counterclaim for your damage.
I'm new to the court thing, so I didn't know to countersue. So when I had to file paperwork, so when I went to court on our court date, I was just letting the judge know, like, look, she did these damages to me. I didn't file a countersue claim. I didn't know I had to do that.
The judge looked at it and didn't return that to you?
He said any evidence that we wanted to be taken into consideration, to leave it with him. And I left it with him.
And what kind of tires did you purchase?
I believe they say Bridgestone on them.
And what's the name, make, and model of your car?
It's a 2005 Cadillac Escalade.
Can you get me any information about that, Sarah? Cost of cars, 2000 Escalade, what kind of tires it uses? Okay, so the harassment that you're talking about by your sister, because that's the other part of your claim. The vandalism is one, which Sarah is looking up now. The damages for harassment were the tires being slashed, is that right?
A part of it, yes.
Well, what's the other part?
Well, when I filed for the restraining order, the judge said it sounded like a family matter, so it didn't.
So the court dismissed it?
Yes. So on December 24th, which was Christmas Eve, I woke up and my tires were popped again. So I then asked my dad, is it okay if I record you reaching out to my sister, asking her to leave me alone so that if I do go to court again, I have some evidence? Because again, my dad didn't come to court back then. And he was like, I don't think I can do that because then she'll start messing with me and I can't afford to be down in the morning.
Okay.
And then I was just like, okay, well, at that point, I didn't feel safe there no more because she had already called Children's Services on me. And then every 2 weeks, my tires were being popped. I really couldn't afford it.
I got it. Do you recall how much you spent for each tire?
Each tire was $120.
So you spent a little over $700?
Yes.
Okay.
That's about right from what I'm seeing.
Okay. So, Ms. Gaines, let me tell you how I'm going to rule on her request for damages for her car. But I believe that some things make sense and some things don't. And if somebody has an MO of slashing tires as their reaction to having their car damaged, and if you acknowledge doing it and doing it one time, it is not a giant leap from my imagination that you caused the same damage to all 6 of her tires. I don't find that a giant leap. I think the whole thing is foolish, and I actually don't see the basis for coming out with a broomstick, except that you were angry and lashing out at her car. You could have stayed in your house and called the police. There was no reason for you to come out of the house at all, except to confront your sister. You had an application for a restraining order against your sister?
This is correct.
And you had a trial on that?
This is correct.
And you were granted a restraining order?
Yes.
For how long?
6 months.
And that expired?
It hasn't expired yet. This was an incident. It was caused by her coming to my house after court.
Okay.
And causing more damage.
Okay. So I think that she had the right to file for a restraining order against you because part of your action is filing false restraining order. Part of your case was for vandalism to your car, but that was already done in another court.
That was part of the first case. We've been going since October.
Okay. How did she ask you to jump out of the vehicle?
She stated, hop out. I said, okay, I guess we're hopping out. Well,
that was sort of silly. If somebody said to you, hop out, I would stay in the car.
I'm trying to talk to my dad.
Well, you talk to your dad later when things are calmed down and you're not high on weed.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Jessica and Joanne.
Jessica Gaines accuses her sister, Joanne Gaines, of slashing her tires. Joanne claims she needed to file a restraining order against Jessica.
Okay, let's get to the assault part of your claim that I would like to hear. First, I watched the video, and I have to tell you, Ms. Gaines, that in my judgment, what you took a big whiff of was a blunt. Is that what they call that?
That is.
Okay. And that's what was in the video, and that's while you were on your way over there and very, very angry and driving a car and lost in a sea of smoke. Do you understand? And I think that that's both foolish, bad judgment, dangerous, and dangerous to drive a car that way.
I agree, I'm sorry.
And shows an absolute lack of judgment. So I would think about that kind of behavior. Again, if I were you, you want to tell me when and under what circumstances your sister assaulted you and where you were hospitalized or treated medically?
When I pulled up to the house, she had asked me to jump out of the vehicle. I was...
How did she ask you to jump out of the vehicle?
She was standing on the sidewalk. I was putting the car in park, and she stated, hop out. And I said, okay, I guess we're hopping out. Well, that was
sort of silly. If somebody said to you, hop out, I would stay in the car.
I'm trying to talk to my dad. I have a...
Okay. Well, you talk to your dad later when things are calmed down and you're not high on weed.
I understand that you...
You got the damages for your car by way of a judgment. I've awarded you for the tires $726. $726 for the tires. That's the judgment of the court. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I only slashed her tires one time, one tire, like I stated.
It was fair.
There's no receipts that were presented, so they were never damaged.
We got it, we got the proof, so.
She stated that I ran her over by the car, but she was walking back into her house. How are you walking if your foot got ran over by a car?
It's embarrassing.
Jealousy, maybe I don't feel that way. This is my younger sister. I love my younger sister. I don't wish that this wasn't even going on.
I really hope we have a better relationship going forward. I hope this is all over and behind us.
Yeah, there's no more family for me, I guess.
No, we're siblings. Siblings go through stuff.
Judy and Sarah.
So, my Sarah, the case to me, we've seen it before, siblings fighting, very unfortunate. So I'm going to ask you a question because I know I come from separate generations, 3 down from you.
Okay.
And I've already accepted the fact that many states in this country have voted in favor of legislation which suggests that marijuana is a legal substance and decriminalizing it. Fine, just like alcohol.
Yes.
That's what my grandchildren tell me. You drink alcohol, we do something else. But am I crazy? Because I watched that video, and to me that was the most interesting part of the video. And then she took this big cigar thing, which I found out what those were called back in my family court days. And it's interesting that I could recall it, called a blunt. Tell me what you think. Would it be no different if she took a big bottle of vodka from the passenger seat and took a couple of swigs before she got to a fight?
Yeah.
Okay, I want your take on that.
Yeah, even as a different generation, there's responsibilities and regulations and rules, the same with alcohol. So while it might be legalized, decriminalized in many states, you still have to follow the rules and act responsibly. I think there are different physiological effects.
Would you say that there was any jurisdiction in this country where you could smoke marijuana while you were driving?
I think it's still considered under the influence.
Exotic pet store owner Brian Chow for money from a snake breeding business.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case number 212, Duenas versus Cho.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Duenas, it looks to me from your papers that you decided to go into a business with someone.
Yes,
With whom?
with the defendant, Brian Chow.
And you know him how?
He's a family friend.
And you know what his business is?
Yes.
What is his business?
He currently sells reticulated pythons, snakes, exotic animals, monitors, lizards.
And you like those things?
My ex-boyfriend did.
Did you?
I was more for the investment part.
Okay.
I was the investor at the time.
At the time you reached out to this family friend who was in the exotic snake business, your idea was to create a business.
No, Your Honor. It was actually the defendant's idea.
I don't care whose idea it was. Your idea was to create a business with your ex-boyfriend.
I agreed to the business, but it wasn't our idea.
Whether you agreed to the business or not, you invested money in the business.
Yes.
Which means that unless there's something wrong with you, and I see that there is not, you wanted to go into business with the defendant.
Yes.
So let's be easy.
Okay.
And at the time that you wanted to go into business with the defendant, I'll get to what the nature of that business was in a second. I know it had something to do with that wonderful-looking snake. You had a boyfriend.
Yes.
And the boyfriend liked snakes.
Yes.
And you went along with the ride.
Yes.
What month and year were you still with the boyfriend when you decided to go into the business, which you will explain to me?
Back in November of 2019.
So right before COVID.
Yes.
What was your boyfriend doing at the time?
He was working at an airport.
And he and Mr. Cho were friends?
Yes.
How long had you known him?
2-3 weeks, Your Honor.
Where did you meet him?
He came into my store and acquired
I didn't ask you anything. That's how you met him?
Yes.
I'm going to get through this case and get this lovely thing out of the courtroom as quickly as I possibly can. Wow. Some people find them exotic and gorgeous. I find them a little bit squirmy. So in November 2019, boyfriend and you decided to go into the business. Explain the business that you invested in.
I invested on 5 reticulated pythons, 1 male and 4 females. That was the original deal.
And what were you going to do with them?
Mr. Brian Chow was going to have it in his shop, and together we were going to breed them and make a profit out of them.
So the intention was never for you to take these pythons to your residence?
No.
And you understood that? No.
They're buying the snake, Your Honor.
Okay. How much were the 5 snakes?
In total, it was $10,000, plus the feeding and the cages that he claimed that the snakes needed.
Was it your agreement that for $10,000, Miss Duenas and the boyfriend were going to buy 1 male snake and 4 females?
They decided to buy 2 snakes.
Well, when was that decision made, sir?
A week after I met him, because
When you went into the shop, did you ultimately decide on 1 male, 1 female?
No, so how it is, Your Honor, is he knew my ex-boyfriend prior to the business 5 years ago. He sold him a exotic Australian monitor lizard.
Okay, what I want you to tell me is, did there come a time when the arrangement changed, so instead of 1 male and 4 females, you were supposed to get 1 male and 1 female?
No, Your Honor. The whole way, it was supposed to be 1 male and 4 females.
Do you have any sort of a receipt for that?
We have Instagram conversations.
Do you have that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
Cassandra hands a laptop to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews a message thread on the computer.
1 male, 4 females. The guy's asking $15,000 for all, and then he says, I'll drop it to 12. Then somebody, I don't have 12 now. I just spent a lot on my monitor. Let's go the rest. Okay, so he said, I don't have that money now. He says, I'm getting 16 lace monitors. You remember that discussion? And then that's a big investment for me right now. I'm saving up to get a house, but I'm down to breed my monitor with any of your monitors. Keep going. So far, I don't have a contract. And then somebody says, no, you pay half and I pay half. Who wrote that?
He did.
No, you pay half and I pay half. Then you say 6,000. I'm short 6,000. I want to get them, but I'm low on cash till next month. And that's from you. That's from the reptile.
I had to say it, Your Honor.
Okay. If I invest half with you, what will be my return and in how long? Think about it. That's will be the baby's mix price. JTK Reptiles, that's you. Somebody's on their way. That's you and your boyfriend?
Yes. We were on our way to give him the money.
And how much money were you going to give him?
We gave him the first time $6,000 and then $4,000, a total of $10,000.
You received that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what did you purchase with the $10,000?
If you look at the message from there, what she showed you is they pay half of the 5 snake. It means they get 2 of the snake, and I get 2 of the snake. They've been lying to you guys since day one. They want to purchase 2 snake. Then I told them, like, if you look at the message, I can use my male to breed it to your female. It's an investment for you guys, not for us. It's no us. It's not with them at all.
Mr. Cho, were they supposed to take possession of the snakes?
They're supposed to pick up the snake. That's why they come to the store with it.
Which snakes were they supposed to take possession of?
One right here and one out there.
Is that a male or a female?
This is the female.
Has she had babies yet?
No, I don't breed her because she don't belong to me.
And how old is she?
Right now, she should be about 6 years old, going 7.
How long do they live?
Over 30 to 40 years, depends on how you take care of them, like I take care of them.
And there's another one outside the courtroom that's the same as this one. Also a female?
Yes.
And you gave him the $10,000. He acknowledges the $10,000. So we have a verbal contract that you were going to pay for some snakes. He was going to order the snakes for you, which he did. And that was accomplished, and the payment for the snakes was done on what date, the first payment?
Approximately in November of 2019.
And when was the next $4,000 payment?
The same month, I would say like a week.
Good. And when did you order the snakes, Mr. Chow?
Right after I get yeah, because I cannot just acquire the animal without the payment.
Okay, so now you've got the payment and you order the animals.
Yes.
On what date do they arrive?
2 days after, they're FedEx delivered to my shop.
And when did you notify the plaintiffs that they were there?
The day that they came, I tell them the snake is ready.
So it was also in November, sometime in November. And when did they arrive?
The snake arrived?
No. the plaintiff and the boyfriend?
They arrived a week after I notify the boyfriend.
Okay. Now, Ms. Duenas, a week later you went to the shop. And what happened when you went to the shop? Now he's got $10,000 and he's got 2 snakes.
I just want to clarify, Your Honor, that we even gave him money for the tanks because here in the conversations it says that he can't continue having them in tubs. So he needs us to give him money to invest to buy the tanks to house the snakes. So our original plan was for him to keep the snakes because he has the shop. We, at the time, lived in an apartment. He was well aware of this, that we couldn't have big snakes in our apartment.
He says no, you say yes. I'm not sure how I can resolve that. I'm trying to simplify this contract.
Cassandra nods. Caption coming up.
And you said you recorded all this?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Video footage.
I told you, don't play with my money.
What are you doing?
What do you mean? He owes me money.
I don't care. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out.
Judy's eyes widen. Cassandra's eyes fill with tears. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Cassandra and Brian.
Cassandra Duenas claims exotic pet store owner Brian Chow owes her money for a snake breeding business. Brian says Cassandra changed her mind about the business after he purchased the snakes.
Okay. Part of the contract was fulfilled because you paid him. Then he ordered the snakes. The second part was fulfilled. I want you to tell me what happened when you went to see the snakes. You say to see them. He says to pick them up a week later.
So when we went to the shop,
Who went?
led us to
Who went?
My ex-boyfriend and I. What led us to there is because after he obtained the snakes, he was not reaching out back to us. He was
Just a week later.
Yes.
You went to the shop. He notified you that the snakes were there. There's no question about that. Now, you went to the shop for what purpose?
Because he switched it and then he said it was 2 snakes when originally the plan was 1 male and 4 females. That 1 male was going to breed with the 4. So right out the back, he lied to us what our agreement was here, that he clearly texted us and said 4 males and 1 female. So it was 5 snakes. So we went to the shop.
Yeah, but there was a problem there with pricing. In the Instagram messages, a suggestion, because some of the texts were unavailable. He said originally they were $15,000. And then there was some discussion of $12,000. And then there was some discussion of $6,000. He says he'll pay half and you pay half. And there, I can imagine that there was some sort of an agreement for you to keep the snakes if you were going to pay half. You were always supposed to give them the snakes. Why would you pay half?
Then they get the 2 of the snake, and I get the 2 of the other snake. It's 5 of them. And the one that we're gonna pretty much, they can have it if they want it, or I can use it when I need it.
You mean the male?
Yes.
So that was the business. Anyway, you went there, and what happened?
So I went in recording. My ex-boyfriend told me, hey, record.
Don't tell me what your ex-boyfriend told you.
Okay.
Just tell me you went in and what happened.
We went in there and we asked him, hey, we agreed on 5 snakes. Now you switched up and you said now it's 2 snakes. First you told us it was $15,000, then $12,000. You were playing games with us the whole time. And at this point, after a week later that he said that he got the snakes, then he told us it was 2 snakes. At that point, we were upset because we had planned and we had counted with 5 snakes. That's why we gave him that ridiculous amount of money. And basically, we didn't want nothing else to do with him. We wanted our money back. And that's what we went for, our money back.
Just a second. Yes. So you walked in wanting your money back?
Yes.
Do you have any text messages, Instagram messages, suggesting that before you got there, you had said to him, we changed our mind, we don't want to be in business with you, we want our money back?
No.
Nothing?
No. He wasn't reaching out, sorry, Your Honor, he wasn't reaching out to us. He was sending him video calls, he was calling him through text message, my ex-boyfriend.
I don't care. You paid the money, he got snakes. The question is, you think there's supposed to be more than 2? He says 2. More were more money. So the ultimate agreement was for 2. So what happened when you went there? You're there with your boyfriend.
Yes.
And you say, I want my money back. And he says?
He says, I don't have the money here. I have 2 snakes here.
Are you telling me that he didn't call you and say your snakes are in? Is that what you're suggesting? Do you have an invoice for these snakes, Mr. Chow?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the invoice for the snakes.
Brian hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
By the way, your boyfriend has other of these exotic
To wire
creatures. Is
transfer
that right?
To the people that I get them.
What kind of exotic creatures does he have?
One that he sold him, an Australian water monitor from the Philippines.
And?
He has 2 rhino iguanas, a pair. He has a, I don't know the name, but it changes colors.
Judy reviews the document.
Mr. Chow?
Yes.
This is a wire transfer May 24th, 2018. And the date of this wire transfer is August of 2018.
And those are for the lace monitor that
Are these lace monitors?
Yes.
Sorry, Your Honor, these are not lace monitors. These are reticulated pythons. These are not monitors. Monitors are lizards. These are snakes.
Lace monitor bell face.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, that's not that.
No, Your Honor.
Well, these are useless.
Yes, but that's connected to the rest of what they did.
What does it have to do with these 2 snakes? What I want to see is when you purchased these 2 snakes.
Yeah, I don't have it, Your Honor.
Well, get it. What do you mean you don't have it?
I left it at home. I'm so sorry.
Well, what'd you bring these for?
Those are the time that they both got arrested when they went to my shop.
Yeah, but you now have those back, right?
Yes.
You have those back. So if you had to take documents, why didn't you take the documents for the snakes in question? The lace monitor lizards aren't in question. You have them back. They may have taken them. They were arrested, and you finally got them back. So I don't understand that.
I just mistaken grabbed the wrong paper.
Well, Mr. Chow, do you deal with these people regularly, that you buy snakes from them regularly?
Not really. It depends on the size of the animal and depends what kind of animal.
Well, you have the date of purchase someplace, Mr. Chow, and I don't want you to waste my time.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. That's why I just said I don't have it, Your Honor.
Did they purchase that kind of snake?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
It was 5 snakes, Your Honor.
Don't give me 5. That type of snake.
Oh, yes, the reticulated python, yes.
And the one that's outside is the same, correct?
Yes.
And you did not purchase baby snakes.
No.
You wanted full-grown snakes because they were a business. You wanted them able to be... breeding. Okay. Should have brought the paperwork. And you went in there that day in November because you had changed your mind.
Yes, and on top... Yes.
Because you had changed your mind.
Yes.
That's the answer. You had changed your mind. You can give me a whole bunch of excuses, and you told him you changed your mind, you want your money back. And he said no, because I ordered the snakes, and I got them in, and they're yours. Contract is completed. I'm merely holding your property. And then there was a kerfuffle. And tell me about the kerfuffle.
The issue was that it was going back to what I was saying is, then we asked him as well, can we have, like, receipt? How much did you really pay for them?
No, that's not your business. That's not your business, how much you really paid for them. He made a deal. You paid him. If he got them for $2,000 and you paid him $10,000, that's nothing. The kerfuffle, let's draw this down to its most simple English. Mm-hmm. You wanted your money back, and you wanted to cancel this contract.
Yes, it's just when we arrived, those weren't the snakes that we ordered. These were the breed of it, is the ones that he was putting here on Instagram, which I have, which is not those. So we ordered something and we got something else. So
is what you're telling me, you went there to pick up your... Because now it's changed. You went there to pick up your snakes. Mm-hmm. When you got there, they turned out to be a different...
It's breed. It's like the...
Pythons, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They're pythons, but it was a different kind of python. Mm-hmm. Now you're telling me because it was a different python, you wanted your money back.
Yes, because it wasn't what we paid for. It's like we paid for a Ferrari and we got a Toyota, basically. It's basically
You know nothing about pythons, so... You're taking your cues from your boyfriend because that's his strong suit. Is it yours as well?
No, I'm just the investor.
Right. So your boyfriend had a conversation with him and said, those aren't the snakes that I ordered.
Yes.
Okay. And I want my money back.
Yes.
And you said you recorded all this.
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Brian shakes his head. Caption coming up.
And when he broke the glass, where did he take them?
He put it in a bin.
And is that you carrying them out?
Yes, and that's the reason why I was charged with the robbery, just because I walked out with the item.
That's fine. That's a co-conspirator.
Cassandra's eyes fill with tears. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Cassandra and Brian.
Cassandra Duenas is accusing exotic pet store owner Brian Chow of wrongfully keeping money for a snake breeding business. Brian says he fulfilled their agreement and claims Cassandra stole property from his store.
And you said you recorded all this?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. You just press play.
Which one?
Right here. And then you press that.
This one?
Yes.
Kevin brings a laptop to Judy.
Okay.
Ready?
Subtitles. So you guys want to do the money then?
Yeah. The 10,180 in total, and then money on top of that for lending you the money and everything.
I didn't see that coming. Yeah, because we didn't see this coming. You just kept on giving us a runaround and a runaround.
Oh, no, what?
About the mail. Remember that?
No, that's why I'm waiting for the mail to be delivered. I don't have the mail.
Yeah, but remember you had told us that the guy had it because he had to leave and he had to gut out because he has surgery and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We gave you the money right there and then. You don't understand what mission we had to go
I
through.
didn't know. I don't mind getting you guys your money back, but I don't have cash right now. You guys caught me by surprise.
Yeah, but we're gonna have to do it today though. Like we need our money today.
If you want it right now, I don't have it.
We told you we want to do business correct, and you just keep on giving us another day and another day.
You told us as soon as we give you the money, the snake was gonna be here.
Yeah, it's not about me, it's the guy. It's not me. I'm just buying the snake from some different guy.
And then another thing where you messed up, you said 5 snakes for 6,000, and you come at me with 4 and you wasted my money.
Yeah, and I told you that he gave me only 4 snakes, the big giant.
Yeah, and why would you waste money if I told you to get the 5 snakes?
If you worry about the last one, I can pay for it. It's a mail that we don't need.
But I have to do all this, so I have to get like this for you to do that?
No, bro.
How could I trust you now?
Bro, the 4 snake is right here.
I'm gonna go get something.
What's wrong with you, bro? I'm just asking you. Let's talk.
No, we're not gonna talk. I told you don't with me.
I don't talk with you, bro.
Dog.
Why? What's
that's
wrong?
Because we gave you a lot of money. We're talking about over $10,000, and you're just giving us the runaround. First, you told us
this
5
is what
snakes.
we can do. I'll take, and when you get the money, I'll give it back. Yeah, female too.
Oh, no.
Oh no? All right. Well,
Come on, bro. You're looking at a 15 grand.
I told you don't play with me.
I don't play with
You
you.
don't even have the money right
Open
now.
them up, man.
I got the half of the money.
Open them up.
I'm trying to talk to you, bro.
No, there's no more talking because we gave you the money right here and then. That's unprofessional. You're trying to scam us, and you don't do that to people like
I
that.
didn't. How did I scam
They don't
you?
open it up before I open it.
You're telling me that you don't have the money.
I have half of the money because I'm waiting for the snake. Bro, if you guys gonna get arrested if you get
There's
snake.
no arresting. We're just getting what you took from us. Over $10,000.
I'm trying to talk
Over
to you.
10,000.
Open it.
I'm trying
I
to.
told you
Bro,
No, we tried to talk to you. You're telling us you're gonna have the money. I have everything in video.
I don't
okay?
care. You can record me, bro.
All right, so are you gonna
You
open
don't
it?
play with people's money. You can call
You owe me
whoever you
over
want.
$15,000.
This is 15 grand.
We don't care.
Can you call a cop, please?
All right, watch out. Come back away.
Cassandra's ex-boyfriend smashes a glass cage.
I told you don't play with my money.
What are you doing?
What do you mean? He owes me money. He
I don't care. Get out. 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 Get out.
Subtitles. He owes us money.
He owes us money. He owes us money.
Subtitles. They're gonna deal with that with the police.
Now I'll play that video, please.
Video footage of Cassandra's ex-boyfriend reaching into a glass cage.
That's your boyfriend breaking into the...
Yes.
Yes. And when he broke the glass and took out whatever lizards he took out with him, where did he take them? You were still with him.
Yes, he put it in a bin.
And is that you carrying them out?
Yes, and that's the reason why I was charged with the robbery, just because I walked out with the item.
That's all right. That's fine. That's a co-conspirator. Ultimately, the lizards that you took were returned to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it seems, Mr. Chow, at the beginning of this case, I must acknowledge to you that I was sympathetic to your position, that they had ordered snakes. You ordered them, you got them,
Yes, Your Honor.
and then the contract is completed. Uncross your arms.
No, I'm so sorry.
But it's clear from the tape that the plaintiff played for me that you acknowledged that you did not fulfill your end of the contract, that you were blaming your inability to fulfill your end of the contract on some third party. Is that what I heard in the tape? I mean, you know, my hearing's not really acute, but that's what you said. I have no control. I can give you back half your money, but I can't give you back all your money. So the contract was not complete.
It was complete because they supposed to get only 2 snakes.
I didn't see anywhere where it says just 2 snakes. There was a whole bunch of conversation there about the male snake, and you were supposed to deliver to them the male snake. And you said, I don't have that money now, but I can get that money for you. I can give you the first money. I don't have the second money. It was clear that the contract was not complete unless you have something to show me that it was. But what I heard, it was not. That doesn't mean that Ms. Duenas has the right to break your property and to steal property that belongs to you. What they do is they come into a court and say, you have my money. The contract was not fulfilled. I want my money back. That's what you do. Are you in the business of breeding snakes for your store?
Yes, Your Honor.
And if we were to go on the internet now,
Yes, Your Honor.
how much would one of those snakes, which is 6 or 7 years old, according to you, sell for?
Right now, this size, you're looking at it about 6,000 to 7,000 each one.
But if you troll the internet of people who actually like those creatures in their house, for whatever reason, if you put up that snake on the internet for sale, how fast would it take you to sell it?
I'll say like about a month and a half.
They're rare.
Yes.
Is that right? That's what you're saying.
It's rare and is just not a lot of people will acquire that much money.
Even though they can sell the babies. And how many babies do they have?
In a year, they can do from 30 to 50.
And each one of the 30 to 50, you can sell for $3,500.
Yeah.
I suggest you do that. She gets her $10,000 back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Cassandra, then Brian.
I'm very happy, and I'm happy that she was able to see herself that the defendant got caught in multiple lies.
They're just a customer.
He wasn't truthful since the beginning. Ever since we invested.
They bought a snake. I would want to give their snake, but they don't want to take it.
And it's very sad how nowadays you can't trust in anybody.
Sarah and Judy.
I think one great lesson that a lot of people can take away from that is you have to know the business that you're investing in. I can appreciate she was sort of doing it for her boyfriend and he had the knowledge about the exotic animals, but that's her money at the end of the day. And if you're going to put your own hard-earned money on the line, it should be a business that you at least put in the time to learn about.
To understand.
Exactly. So that you don't have to rely on somebody else to make the right decisions.
Who's going to be gone tomorrow?
Exactly. Exactly.
And your money
who potentially could, and then you're left on your own, having to sue and navigate a field that you really know nothing about.
Smart. And it was also an example of a contract that was not fully executed.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought when I started the case that there was an offer, an acceptance.
Arrest and bail money.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2027, Davis versus Zadie.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, a couple of years ago, you were a tenant of the defendant's.
Correct, Your Honor.
You rented a room from him?
Correct, Your
In
Honor.
his house. For how long?
For about a year, a little over.
From when to when?
2020, I want to say the beginning of the year till about the end.
Do you remember the dates that he was a tenant?
Yes, they're incorrect what he's saying. It was from May of 2020 to November 2020.
Does that sound right, Mr. Davis?
It's something like that, yeah.
May, June, July, August, September, October, and when in November did he leave?
I believe it was by the 10th.
This is what your case is about. Briefly, it is your claim that you and Mr. Zadie had some sort of an argument.
Correct.
Which you'll tell me about. And Mr. Zadie called the police. You were taken from the premises.
Mm-hmm.
You were arrested, spent the night in jail, mailed yourself out. And this happened in 2020.
Correct.
In November of 2020. Your lawsuit is for false arrest and actual damages. You had to post bail and for filing a false police report. The reason that you have delayed for 2 years in bringing this case against him is because you say you had another action pending.
Correct, Your Honor.
What was the nature of the other action that you had pending?
It was a speeding issue with the police.
Well, it's not a speeding issue with the police. Were you stopped for speeding?
It
Were
was a
you
28
arrested for speeding?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
You were arrested for speeding?
Yeah, and they called it a 2800 VC, if my memory serves me correct.
Well, I don't know what that is.
It's, I guess, evading.
Look into it.
In what city and state do you live?
Irvine, California.
Let me understand this. Very few people are arrested for speeding. You remember what you were arrested for, sir? You weren't arrested for speeding.
They called it evading an officer because I didn't pull over right away.
So you were evading an officer. Let's try that, Sarah.
Evading a police officer in a vehicle. It's vehicle code 2800-1.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, what does it say?
Prohibits evading an officer in a vehicle, which means willfully fleeing from a police officer. When the officer is pursuing the person in a car or on a bike, the offense is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year in jail.
Okay, so you had a misdemeanor pending, right? Anything else?
No, that was it.
Anything else historically?
Yes, I did have historical priors and cases and stuff from my past. Yes, I did.
Recent past or distant past?
Distant past.
How distant?
Years. I want to say 2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't have to go into 2004. So you had this case pending and you felt that it was inappropriate to bring a civil case against him.
Yeah, because I didn't want the cases to intertwine, Your Honor.
They weren't going to intertwine. The case that he brought against you was eventually dismissed.
Correct.
In what month and year was it dismissed?
It was dismissed the same month, about 2 weeks after that.
Is that right?
I believe so.
Okay. So let me understand this. He alleged that you assaulted him or threatened him. You were taken into custody. The DA examined the case and decided not to prosecute it.
Correct.
And that was 2 years ago.
Correct.
Well, I don't know who gave you advice, sir, or whether you did this on your own, but bringing a civil case against someone for something has no impact whatsoever on a pending criminal case, be it a felony or a misdemeanor. You know, if you were driving in a car and someone hit you in the rear in November of 2020, and you waited 2 years to bring that because you had this evading a police officer action and you thought that that was a valid reason, your case would be dismissed for the hit in the rear and whatever injuries you had, because you're supposed to bring these things in a timely fashion.
I understand.
2 years is not a timely fashion. Now that I've suggested that to you, I would like to hear what you say transpired in November 2020, to the best of your recollection.
On November the 9th, 2020, me and my former landlord, Alex Aditi over here, we had an argument about a guest that I had over.
Okay. You had an argument over the phone or in person?
Over the phone.
Tell me how that phone call was initiated.
He texted me some things, and I called him because I wanted to...
Okay. He texted you. Do you have a copy of that text?
No, I don't have the text.
Do you recall what that text said?
Yes, I do.
Tell me what it said.
I told him that he has to get his girlfriend out of the house because she's been coming in every day and night, staying there.
Okay. So you said, in effect, I rented you this room, not your girlfriend.
Correct.
You got to get her out of the house.
Yes.
Okay.
I had
you remember her name?
To him
just a second. You remember her name?
Not.
What was her name?
Twana.
Now, when you rented the room in May, just a second. When you rented the room in May and you moved in, did Tawana move in with you?
She did not move in with me.
So when you rented the room for yourself in May, you rented the room as a single person?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And when did you bring Tawana into the room?
It would be once in a while.
No. What month, sir?
I don't recall the exact month.
What month, sir?
It started happening like back in August, every day. It started one day, then every other day, and then it became constant day and night.
For how long?
For a long, long time, till towards the November when it just went out of proportion.
The argument was about having his girlfriend, according to you, practically living there.
Right.
And you didn't want her there?
No.
Okay, because you rented a room to a single man who, until the girlfriend started to come in, I assume you didn't have trouble with.
Right.
So that's what your text message said to him in November. And as a result of that text message, you called him on the phone. I'm just trying to lay out the story.
Okay.
So you called him on the phone, and you said what to him, and he said what to you?
I don't recall exactly what I said to him, but I remember he told me to tell her, get the out, get out my house, get the out right now. Your girlfriend is a... He was saying a bunch of derogatory things over the phone to me and then hung up in my face. I'm working at the time. So when I came back...
Did you call your girlfriend?
No, I didn't call her.
Did you text her?
We speak regularly. We were talking all the time.
No, then.
Yeah, she knew about it. She did.
Don't tell me what she knew. I just asked you if you texted her or called her.
Yeah, I did.
You did. And when you texted or called her, was she in the house? Was she in your room?
No, she was gone already at this time. When we were arguing,
just
she was...
Just a second. Is that because he told her to leave?
No, she was leaving already. She had work to go to. She wasn't living there. She had her own place and job in Lakewood, California. And I would tell him that all the time, but he would always insinuate that, oh, no, she's living there. I'm like, no, she's not. She pays $2,000 in rent.
He lives in the house with you.
Right.
Now, before Tawana, had you had any difficulty with him? You
None
moved
at
in
all.
May. May, did you have any difficulty? No.
No.
June, did you have any difficulty?
No.
July, did you have any difficulty?
No.
No. You didn't have difficulty until Tawana came.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
So he told you in a very rude way, if I accept that, to get Tawana out of his house.
Correct, Your Honor.
Then you came home from work.
Mm-hmm.
What time did you get home from work?
About 9-ish.
And Tawana was gone.
Yes, she was gone.
Had she taken her things?
There was nothing for her to take. She didn't bring stuff over there. She wasn't living there.
No, but she came over there and stayed a few days a week and never had any
Maybe an
stuff.
overnight bag.
Okay,
That's
but
it.
she took it with her when she left.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got home about 9 o'clock, and what happened?
I got home at 9 and I said, don't disrespect me and my woman. You know, this is a woman I love.
When you got home, you walked in the front door. Where was he?
He was in the kitchen and he had a female guest there too.
He's allowed to have a female guest. It's his house.
Yeah, right. The pot calling the kettle black, basically.
No,
Hypocrisy.
Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, if you rent a room to a single guy, did you have a lease agreement with him?
Yeah, I did have a lease agreement.
Did you have a written lease?
Yes, I did.
Did your written lease provide that you were going to live there?
Yes, it did.
Just you?
Yes.
Well, you bring in another person, that's in violation of the lease.
That's not in violation of the lease because there was nothing in the lease that said I couldn't have guests. He actually said I could have guests.
Guest is one thing. A guest is somebody that doesn't come with an overnight bag regularly.
No, he said
one
I
day,
could have an overnight
2
bag.
days, 3 days, 4 days. That's more than an occasional guest. That's somebody that comes and goes even when you're not there. Because according to you, you contacted Tawana while you were at work and she was at the house.
That's false.
Well, I thought you contacted her and then you said she left. She took a few things with her, probably just an overnight bag.
No, she was not going there when I wasn't there. That's false.
Are you saying that she was not in your room when you were not home?
When I was not there? No,
Yeah.
she would not be there.
That true?
No, he had made a key to her. She would come as she pleased.
Did you make her a
That's
key?
false. That's absolutely false.
Did you make her a key?
No, that's
is my
absolutely
question.
false. No, I
Do you
didn't make her
still
a key.
speak to Tawana?
No, I don't. We kind of fell out of touch.
If I were to call Tawana and ask her whether or not you made a key, would she tell me she did or she didn't?
She would say that I didn't.
Didn't.
Yeah.
Phone number.
I have it in my spirit.
I don't have her number saved here.
I'm not exactly buying the fact that Tawana did not have access to the home even when you weren't there. Even if it was just a half hour before you came home from work, sir. You work until 9 o'clock every night?
Your Honor, I had this to say about the whole key situation. I gave her my key when I was locked up in jail from his false police report. I gave her my property, and she had my key then to help me get the stuff out of his home. But I never went and made her a copy of a key
Did she
anywhere.
ever use your key other than when you were incarcerated?
No.
He says she did.
I said, you're a bitch. I called him a bitch. I did.
He's a guy. Why would you call him a...
It's gender neutral at this point.
You think that that's gender neutral?
Yeah, at this point.
Well, there you go. That's why I have you here.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Ryan and Alex.
Ryan Davis claims his former landlord, Alex Zadie, owes for bail money after Alex had him falsely arrested.
Okay, so now you're having this discussion. He's in the kitchen. You come home from work at 9 o'clock, and you went into the kitchen to look for him.
Correct.
And when you found him, tell me what happened.
We had just a brief, maybe 2-minute conversation or argument, discourse about what the things that he said. And I said, you know, don't be disrespectful to my woman and me. And I said, you know, You're a bitch. I called him a bitch. I did. But I never threatened him,
No, you
harassed
said
him.
you're what?
That's it.
What does that mean? That's a half a sentence.
Well,
He was calling him a bitch. You are a bitch.
Oh, you were calling him?
yes, because he says these things over the phone.
He's a guy. Why
Yeah.
did you call him a...
Because he says all these things over the phone and he gets real loud and he's a completely different person when he's on the phone than when I'm in
You
his...
think that's gender neutral?
At this point.
Well, there you go. That's why I have you here. Okie dokie.
So,
okay, so you were going, don't call me that. You called him a name, and then things got heated, and then what happened?
no, things didn't get heated. After that, he said, oh, that's how you want to do it? And then I said, if you want to get me evicted, you have to go through it the right way and do it legally and give me a 30-day eviction.
No, he must have said to you, I want you out of here because you called me a name.
It
If
wasn't
you said, if
about-
you want me evicted, then he had to have said something about getting you out.
He didn't really say, I don't remember him mentioning anything about me getting out. I just remember the fact that he called the police to get
No,
me
before
out.
he called the police. You were still in the kitchen. Do you ever leave the kitchen?
Yes, I did.
Where did you go?
I went to my room.
Okay. Before you went to your room, did you hear him on the phone with the police?
I did.
Before you went to
Yes.
your room?
Yes.
Okay. And?
And I didn't sit there and listen to his phone call. I took a video and I started recording because I didn't want to be made out to look like the guilty party. And I had it pretty much live streaming the whole time, which was an Instagram video.
Can I see it?
No, I don't have the video. The police
But then it
deleted
doesn't exist. If you
Yeah.
don't have it, it doesn't
Yeah,
exist for my purpose.
Understood.
But you had it then?
Yeah, I did have it then.
You did. And the police came?
Yes.
And I assume if the police came, you showed them the video.
Yeah, I was showing it to him.
And despite showing them the video, they took you into custody.
Despite showing them the video, they
Just
took
a
me into
second,
custody.
Despite looking at the video,
Yes.
which I haven't seen.
They didn't look at the video. They refused to look at it.
Well, let's go one step further. You see, Mr. Davis, this is why you bring actions right away, so that not only everybody's memory is fresh, but if I wanted to call a police officer
where you're
who
coming.
responded or whatever, that's why you bring an action right away.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So now you're taken into custody and you have a video that is totally, according to you, exculpatory.
I don't know the definition.
Exculpatory means it says that you were not guilty of anything.
Okay.
And you appear in court?
No, I didn't appear in court.
Never?
No, never.
Well, what happened to the case?
The case was thrown out. It was a DA reject because there was insufficient evidence that I did anything to him.
And you never showed the district attorney your video?
I didn't get a chance to because the video was deleted by the police.
The police department deleted your video?
Yeah, they did.
You are a terrible victim of circumstance, Mr. Davis. Did you ever make a complaint that the police department deleted your video that would be exculpatory?
No.
Why not? I would if I had.
Maybe ignorance of the law, I guess.
What?
I said maybe ignorance of the law, I guess. Not knowing. When you know better, you do better.
No, Mr. Davis. Actually, I mean, sometimes you really don't know what the law is, but you were smart enough, you said, to tell me, because you knew I would say, why wait 2 years, that you didn't want this action to conflict with another action. Well,
Yeah.
that's a two-process thinker.
I've had something like that happen to me before where I had a criminal case and a civil case pending, and the dates were kind of intertwining and messing, and then about to get in the way of my civil case. So I didn't want to make that same mistake with this case, Your Honor.
Okay, so you want to tell me what your version of the events were of November 9th of 2020?
Yes, Your Honor. I had gone to Mexico for a business trip meeting, and I had my friend who was visiting from Mexico staying at my place, and at that same time, I had another roommate who was renting the room next to Ryan Davis's room. His name was Dave. I received a call from Dave on November 9th that it's constant sex going on.
Okay, so you received a call from the other person living in your house who you were renting a room to.
Right.
Okay, and then, don't tell me what he said. Can't tell me, that's all hearsay.
Well, I've heard prior to all the sexual acts taking place.
Listen to me. You personally,
Yes.
when you were home.
Yes.
Okay, so you heard what was going on behind his closed
Yes.
doors.
Right, day and night.
Okay.
Like there's
Fine.
no tomorrow.
Okay, well, maybe, maybe jealous.
Whitney smirks.
Okay.
Disrespectful.
Okay, so he was becoming an annoying tenant.
Yes.
For whatever reason.
Yes.
Keep going. You sent him a text. He called you. You had heated words. He comes home from work. You're in the kitchen.
Yes.
He comes into the kitchen and...
And I told him, Ryan, we've gone through this many times before. I've addressed this to you about your girlfriend coming here all the time, day and night, and now she's here every day. What he was doing was sneaking her in late at night, and that's how I will know that she snuck back in. There were times I came home from work, and she was already there when Ryan wasn't even there, so she had the key, obviously.
Okay, now let's go to November 9th.
November 9th, I confronted him. I said that this is just way too much. My other roommate wants to leave. He cannot take it anymore.
And
then he said, well, she isn't here, and my...
Okay, he said she wasn't here. Keep going.
Then he cussed at my friend who was visiting from Mexico. He said, get this bitch out of here.
That's not true.
Shh. Don't interrupt.
And,
okay.
I said, you know, you can talk to her.
Okay, let's go.
Right. Then he went into his room. He came back. He brought a samurai sword with him, and he flashed it at me. I'm going to slice you in half like a butter.
Okay.
You know? What? And I'm like shocked at that time. Don't know what's going on with him because he's just changing character. I'm scared of my life. I'm scared of my guests.
Okay. And then what happened? So
and
he
then
came out
I said, you need to get out of here. You need to move.
And then he went back. He didn't do anything with the sword.
No, he didn't. He went back in the room with the sword. He put it there. Then he came back, and he pushed me against the wall. As he was pushing me, I tried to block him by putting my two hands up. And when he pushed me, it bruised. I had a cut on my wrist, but there was a bruise.
Okay.
And
now,
I
at what
said, I'm going to call the police.
Okay, so you called the police when he came back out of his room the second time, this time without the sword. And the police took a report.
Yes.
Do you have that report?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Alex produces a document.
Mr. Davis, do you have a copy of the police report or any follow-up report? I'd like to see that too.
Kevin brings Ryan's document to Judy.
Mr. Davis, where did you get the sword from?
My girlfriend at the time.
Which girlfriend?
Twana.
When did she get it for you?
She got it during my birthday, for a birthday gift.
When's your birthday?
October 31st.
And this happened on November 9th.
Correct.
Between October 31st and November 9th, did you have occasion to show Mrs. Zaidi prior to November 9th? So
Never,
between
Your Honor.
31st and the 8th, did you show Mr. Zaidi the sword?
Never, Your Honor. He's
Just
a liar.
just a sec. Just answer my question. He was there or not there, according to you?
There.
He was there?
Correct.
Okay, good.
His guest was also there for about 2 weeks.
Just who cares about his guest? He owns the house.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Ryan and Alex.
Ryan Davis has accused his former landlord, Alex Zaidi, of causing a false arrest. Alex says Ryan threatened him with a samurai sword.
Okay. October 31st to November 8th, did you ever show Mr. Zaidi the sword?
No, Your Honor.
No.
No.
Okay. So unless he went into your room...
He went into my room.
Unless he went into your room prior to November 9th, there was no way he would have seen the sword.
Correct.
Okay. And when did you go away on this business trip, sir?
On the 9th.
That day?
Yes, in the morning.
And on what day did you first see this sword that was in his room?
On the evening of November 9th.
That was the first time, not his birthday, not second day, not third day? Okay. Does his room have a lock on it, by the way?
From inside.
From inside. Mr. Davis, were you on probation at the time of this incident for something in Riverside that involved a fraud?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And that wasn't a fraud dating back to 2004?
It was dating back...
No, it wasn't an incident...
For 2000 and, I believe, 15.
Okay. So when you told me before, and I'm not even going to have Whitney read it back, you said the last time you had this speeding little problem and evading police, I said, well, before that? And you said, yeah, I did before that in 2004.
Correct.
But that was a lie.
Which was like...
Just a second, that was a lie. You had another case involving a fraud in 2015 on which you were on probation, which means that you were either found guilty or took a plea.
Correct.
Okay. And when the police officer, Mr. Davis, took down your statement, you said that while you acknowledged that you had a samurai sword in your room, you said you had never shown it to Mr. Zaidi.
Correct, Your Honor.
You had never showed it at any time. Well, then how would he know that you had a samurai sword, sir, in your room when he called the police?
Because he was going in my room, I believe, when I was not there, going through my stuff.
Okay.
That's the only other way I can know that he was...
I'm not finished reading this, yes.
Okay, that's fine.
That's like the 2015 case. You just remembered. Do you have any other police reports that you'd like me to see, Mr. Davis?
Not a police report, but I have the bail bonds receipt that I paid. And
I'm not interested in your bail bonds receipt.
I have the DA reject.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, they rejected the case right here.
Yeah,
They refused
I'd like
to file
to see
charges. Your Honor, there's a conflicting story where he said he was left on the 9th because he was there 2 weeks with his guest prior to that. So how could he leave on the 9th if his guest was there 2 weeks prior to
I
the
asked
9th?
him when he left for his... Sir, you didn't understand the reason for my question. I wanted to know if he had been gone from October 31st, which was your birthday, to the 8th. That's why I asked him when he left on his business trip.
Correct.
And he said he didn't leave until the date of this incident. You want to say he left before?
He did
That would
leave
be
before.
interesting.
He
What?
did leave before.
He did.
Yes.
On what date did he leave?
I don't know the exact date, but I
A
know
week before, 5 days before?
it was maybe about a few weeks before.
November 9th?
Yeah, a few weeks.
Then he wouldn't have been able to see your sword because he wouldn't have been coming in and out of your
He was
room.
there from the 9th.
Well,
from
this
the
happened on the
31st
9th.
From the 31st to the 9th, he was there.
Well, you just told me he left 2 weeks before.
I'm saying he was gone before that date, and then on the 31st, between the 31st and the 9th, he was there at the place.
Okay, well, that's what he says. He said he was there, and the business was only 1 day. He left on the 9th, and he came home on the 9th. You said, no, he was there for 2 weeks before. Well, if he was there for 2 weeks before and you didn't get the sword until 31st of October, he could not have seen it by going in and out of your room. So you have to sort of get your story straight, sir. So he was there or not there, according to you?
He was there.
He was there?
Correct.
Okay, good.
His guest was also there for about 2 weeks.
Just who cares about his guest? He owns the house.
Okay.
Okay, it was a misdemeanor case and they declined to prosecute it.
Correct.
Your case is dismissed, Mr. Davis, for several reasons. It's dismissed because it was brought in an untimely fashion. It was brought 2 years after the fact for no valid reason.
Your Honor,
it's
it was
dismissed for that.
pandemic.
It's dismissed for a second reason, because I find some of your testimony, sir, incredible. And one of the reasons I say that is because you were not forthcoming with a legitimate answer to me with regard to your prior history, which isn't always dispositive, but if you had something pending for evading the police, and you had something pending for evading the police while you were on probation for a crime for which you were convicted, either after trial or after hearing, do you understand? You would remember that. Are you still on probation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, your case is dismissed. We're done.
This
You're
court is
making a
adjourned.
big mistake, Your Honor. You have guests over 2 to 3 weeks at a time, but I have a girl over for 3 days, and now it's World War III.
He was only allowed to stay there by himself, not with his girlfriend.
I never went at him with a samurai sword.
It was pretty scary.
He basically just used the system against me because I'm a person of color and I have a record already, so I fit the bill.
He had a criminal record. When I rented the room to him, he was asking for a second chance.
It's easier for them to lock somebody up who's already been to jail.
Nobody was renting him the room, and he was saying he's trying to start a new life.
I'm 6'1", 200 pounds. I wouldn't even need a weapon if I was going to assault him, but I never did.
Thank you, Judge Judy.
Judy and Sarah.
You know, there are so many lessons from this case, I think, Sarah. One of them is there's a reason that the law tells you to bring an action in a timely fashion, right?
Many reasons.
Many reasons. One is because it's not like an afterthought, you know, and there are reasons for delays. You were in a hospital, you go into the armed forces, but here there was no really legitimate reason for him not bringing this kind of case in a timely fashion. And the other one that's always a good thing to me, what did you think about his credibility?
Yeah, I think it's hard for a fact finder to believe the totality of your testimony if one of the first questions, just about a simple question of your prior history with law enforcement, if you have any pending charges, I think that's a very simple question. If you aren't fully truthful with the fact finder on that question, it makes it really difficult, and the rest of your testimony is now suspect.
That's true.
And filing a false restraining order.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judy enters.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. Hi. Case number 204, Bernero versus Trinell.
Thank you, Kevin. Now, you have to tell me, are you Miss or Mr.?
For the duration of this case, I will refer to as Mr. for legal terms.
Mr. Trinell.
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Bumel, you and the defendant dated for how long?
2 years.
And according to what I read, during part of that period of time, you lived at your mom's house.
Yes.
From when to when?
From January to May.
Of what year?
2021.
Had you lived with each other prior to that?
Yes.
Where?
At his mom's.
And how long had you lived at his mom's?
About a year, once I turned 18.
Prior to your moving into his mom's, were you ever together?
Yes.
Where?
Well, we didn't live together. We were just, like, we were seeing each other, I mean.
From when to when?
From April to December of 2019, and then I moved in at the beginning of 2020.
So for a long time. Did you have plans to marry and
yes.
Had you discussed it?
Yes.
True?
We had those conversations, yeah.
Great. This case actually has to do with funds that you put in to a car that was supposed to be used by both of you, but since you didn't have a license, the car was put in your name. And the relationship took a bad turn, and you have the car. Is that right?
Yes.
And you, Ms. Bimel, want the money that you put into the car.
Yes, we agreed that I would get my half of the money if he kept the car.
Well, you didn't put in half the money. You only put in, according to you, a deposit.
Yes.
So you're not entitled to half the car. At most, you're entitled to your deposit back, and that's what I have to determine. Now, Mr. Chunell, the allegation is that you filed a false restraining order against the defendant, and I believe you spent a little time in custody. Is that correct?
Yes, they took me in and fingerprinted me.
And that was after the breakup?
Yes.
All right, so let's go to the car. You were living with your mother when the car was purchased?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chunell, month and year the car was purchased?
May of 2021.
So that was immediately prior to the breakup?
Yes.
What kind of car was purchased?
2014 Ford Focus SE.
And the purchase price?
We put down a deposit of $7,000. Total purchase of the car was just under $11,000.
So there was finance charge
Yes.
on the car. Who financed the car?
I did.
Through what institution?
My bank account. I was paying it through my debit card while I was working.
I understand that, but what institution? What
Bank of
America. Bank of America. And what were the monthly payments?
$200, around there.
So if the car was purchased immediately prior to the breakup, the plaintiff really didn't get any benefit or use of the car. Very little, maybe at most 30 days. That be a fair statement?
I'd say so.
Fair statement?
Yes.
And how much, Ms. Buhlman, did you put into the car?
I put in $6,000.
Is that correct?
Correct.
I'd like to see proof that you put in $6,000.
Hannah produces a document, then hands it to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
And then I also have bank statements.
Sarah, would you do me a favor, just add up these figures for me, please? I'd like to see the bank statement.
Hannah hands another document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
There's one page that is not highlighted.
Totals to $7,000, Your Honor.
What is this that you gave me?
My bank statements for what I paid at CarMax, and then what I take out, I did because I did a cash deposit. So everything I took out at the ATM, I put right into my cash flow envelope I had for savings for the car. But there are 2 CarMax transactions. I did it in cash because I was told that it would be cheaper if I did it in cash because it won't be taxed if it was compared to a card.
Yeah, but these figures don't add up to the same thing as that.
Well, he did pay a little because that is $7,000.
No. But these figures I have on the 13th of May, which is when this car was purchased. I have you took out $800. You took out $1,520. You took out another $100.
Yes.
I may be missing something, but that's all I see.
No, and then, like I said, the ATM on the other 2 bank statements, it says $700, $800, and I believe another $500 for everything I took out in cash for down deposit.
I'm not following that. Are you understanding this? Take a look at this.
Sure.
You know.
So she's saying that these PNC bank statements was cash withdrawals that she then used towards, I'm assuming, this large $5,380 first bill, because the totals from this are only totaled to $2,420.
Right. Well, that's all I have. That's your bank statement. This thing that you handed me first is actually unreliable because my 14-year-old child could make that up on a computer. I'm looking at your bank statement, which looks different from my bank statements, but I'm prepared to accept it. Do you have the invoice for the car that you purchased?
I have the contract, the bill of sale.
Contract. Yeah, I'd like to see it.
Ryan hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
And I'd like to see your bank statement, please.
I don't have bank statements with me.
Any reason?
In my search, there were no correlations on May 13th towards the purchase. Only records that came up were towards the insurance and car payments that followed after the date. So I did not believe it was reasonable for me to submit that as evidence.
In the future, you should let the fact finder determine whether it's reasonable or not, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, when you finance the car, what this requires you to do is to maintain insurance.
Yes.
And it requires you to maintain insurance for both liability and collision until the remainder of the loan is paid off.
Yes.
Did you?
Yes.
Good. Now, without going into anything else, the two of you are no longer together. We may have to get into that later on the protective order, but the car was totaled.
Yes.
After the breakup.
Yes.
And the car was totaled and insured so that there was payment by the insurance company.
Yes.
How much?
$6,000.
Do you have any proof of that?
No.
Now, when you received the $6,000, the balance of your loan was $7,000. When was the car totaled?
September 29th of 2021.
So you had the car for a few months and made a few payments?
Yes.
Okay. Well, this looks to me as if she put down most of the down payment.
Yes.
And that at most you paid registration, tags, and a couple of car payments, which didn't total $6,000.
Correct.
Well, why didn't you give her the rest of the money? Are you following me? I mean, that doesn't seem like rocket science. It wasn't your money. The two of you broke up, and it's clear to me that you had a minimal investment in this dollar-wise.
The reason I didn't was mainly because I was the only person that could hold on to the car and keep it legally because it was under my insurance. Okay. I was able to finance it from there.
Okay. Well, what you should have said to me was, I got a check for $6,000, but the $6,000, didn't that have to go to Bank of America?
Yes, it did. It went to Bank of America, went to my account. I used it towards paying off medical bills from the accident, and I used it towards rent for my home.
Well, why didn't you use it towards paying off the car loan?
The insurance company had paid off the rest of what I was owed to pay on the car to CarMax. They paid it off.
Oh, so they paid it off, plus they gave you $6,000.
No, let me correct. I apologize. I'm very nervous. The insurance company, after the incident, had paid off the rest of what was owed to CarMax from me.
Okay, so the insurance company paid off to the lender.
Yes.
Which was left, which was, let's say, $6,000.
Yes.
And in addition to that, they sent you a check.
Yes, I used that check towards my bills, and I used it towards my rent.
Okay, well, that you can't do, because that really wasn't your money. You didn't spend that money. Didn't you feel as if it was appropriate to give it back to her?
I would have if I wasn't in the situation that I was. And
what situation were you?
I was injured.
Who was this? Is this your mother?
Yes.
Okay. Are you living with your mom?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so you weren't on the street. I assume that you feed your child when you have to.
He was actually taking care of me at that time.
Oh, great. Well, if you had the money to take care of your mother, then you should have returned the money to her. So she's entitled to that money. You were compensated for it by the insurance company, and you had no right to keep it for your own bills. Okay. Got it?
Yes.
Easy. Easy peasy. Now, next is your allegation that he assaulted you and filed a false restraining order.
Yes.
Okay. So now let's jump to you are no longer living together. This is after May of 2021. You had an encounter, according to your papers, with the defendant. Tell me when and where that happened.
So October 6th, at a Gloucester City Park, right down the street from where I was staying, so I walked there. And we both agreed for me to pick up my things because he still had some of my belongings.
Did you make the appointment to meet by text, by email?
Yes.
Text?
Yes.
Anybody have those texts?
Let me see if I do.
I do not. My phone was destroyed.
I only have the text from when he texted me the car accident when I said I was planning to take my car back. And right after that, I then planned to meet up with him to get the rest of my stuff back.
Okay. Well, you don't have the text involving that. Okay. So you did, in fact, meet at a park.
Yes.
How did you get there?
I walked there. I was staying at a friend's house.
How did you get there?
I drove my mother's car.
Okay. Now you're in the park. Tell me what happened, and this is in October.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So we meet at the park, and he gives me my belongings, and then I asked him, because throughout the breakup and afterwards, I knew there was some things he was hiding from me, so I asked him if he was hiding anything, and to get some closure, I just wanted the truth. And so from then, he was getting a little frustrated about it, and I was just saying, I don't know what I did wrong, and then he threatened to hit me, and then I said...
You said to him, I don't know what I did wrong.
Yes.
Because he moved out.
Well, from the reason reason he told me we broke up, he said it was mental illness. And then I felt like I wasn't helping if I could do any more. I felt like I could have done more because I was very accepting of who he is now. And so since that happened and I was so accepting of him, then he threatened to hit me. And I was very confused. And I just said, okay. And then he shoved it and swung at me.
And at no time did you hit him?
After that, I did defend myself and I did hit him.
What did you hit him with?
Just my hands. I pushed him just to get him off of me.
Was he injured?
By scratches, yes.
Where?
On the face. There was like 2 scratches I saw.
And what about you?
I had bruises on my shoulders, both shoulders, and then I had a swelling on my head.
Either of you have photographs of the injuries?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at them.
I told her that you need to understand that you did me wrong too. She said, so what? I pushed her. She swung first, I swung back, we fought. She punched me in the face twice.
So after you pushed her, according to you, she swung at you?
Correct.
Okay, well, you didn't expect her to give you a kiss after you pushed her. Did he discuss with you a co-ownership of the dog, which would mean that you would share the litters if the dog was bred?
Yeah, he did.
And you gave him no part of the $3,500?
No.
So, do you want to tell me what your defense is to this? Because your counterclaim is ridiculous.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Hannah and Ryan.
20-year-old Hannah Buellman says ex-boyfriend Ryan Trunell is responsible for a car down payment and injuries from an assault. Ryan said he was the one assaulted.
Either of you have photographs of the injuries?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at them.
Kevin collects photos from Hannah and Ryan.
Thank you.
He brings them to Judy, who reviews them. One of them depicts Ryan displaying a small injury to his mouth.
Okay. How did it end, the incident in the park?
So I just pushed him on the ground and I walked away.
And where did you go?
I first went back to his house. I did go to his house because he still had one of my big bags.
Okay, so after this incident, you pushed him down. You went back to his house with him?
No, I with my friend.
Well, your friend wasn't with you in the park.
Yes, I walked to my friend's house. I let him know what happened, and then we drove to his house so I can get the rest of my belongings that I couldn't carry home.
And what happened when you got to his house?
So I told him, I said, hey, I'm sorry. I even put my hands up, and I'm like, I just want the rest of my belongings back because I didn't think I would get it back. And so then he just told me, sorry, I told you I was mentally unstable. And I'm like, I just want my stuff back. And I grabbed it and I left.
So you got your things back?
Yeah.
And you both said, I'm sorry. Does that sound correct?
No.
Well, tell me your version of, you had this argument in the park.
We had an argument in the park. She was asking me questions about why the relationship had ended. I had explained that it was through emotional turmoil, mental illness, and that she was not being very supportive. She was very toxic, and she was very aggressive with me. And when I had told her that I was going through all of this stuff and that I felt bad for things that happened in the relationship, I told her that you need to understand that you did me wrong too. She said, so what? I pushed her. She swung first, I swung back, we fought, we broke up the fight in the beginning, I apologized. Her items were on the ground, I picked them up, I handed them to her. She punched me in the face twice. Post that, grabbed my hair, pulled it, and then we broke up the fight after. I got in my car, I went home first. She went back across the street to her friend's place. I was at the apartment. I was just talking to my landlords about some stuff that my mother and I had to take care of. I don't exactly remember. As I was coming back up from the apartment, her and her friend had walked up, threatened to charge me with assault, and demanded the $7,000 for the car then and there. I said I didn't have it. I apologized for what had happened.
Didn't have it? You apologized for spending the money?
Yeah.
That's what part of the argument was about, back at your apartment.
Well, there wasn't an argument on that. I apologized for it, but she still wanted the money. She demanded the money.
Well, so the money was part of the argument.
Yes.
Did you both go to the police station?
Yes.
Yes.
And who went first?
I did.
But you didn't go to the police station immediately after the incident. You went to the police station after she said she's going to charge you with assault.
Yes.
And do you have a copy with you of the police report that you filed?
Yes, I do.
Ryan hands a document to Kevin.
Thank you.
He brings it to Judy, who reviews it.
You have a copy of the police report you filed?
I do not.
You do not. Okay. So you were not injured, and what I'm putting together here is that you went to the police station and filed this because she had threatened to go to the police and charge you with assault. You went there, got there first, and you got there second. Is that right? And by the time you got there, is that the time they took you into custody?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever, Mr. Trunell, seek medical attention for any of these injuries that I see in these photographs?
No.
The answer is either yes or no.
No.
And you do acknowledge, Mr. Trunell, that the initial aggressor, physical aggressor, which is what you testified to. Let's go back to his initial testimony, Whitney. I believe he testified that, not sure, she was aggressive, she was loud, she wouldn't accept it, and he pushed her. But I'd like to get the exact wording.
So I told her that you need to understand that you did me wrong too. She said, so what? I pushed her. She swung first. I swung back. We fought.
Okay, so after you pushed her, after you put your hands on her, according to you, she swung at you.
Correct.
Okay, well, you didn't expect her to give you a kiss after you pushed her.
No.
All right, Ms. Buhlman, I'm looking at your complaint, and your complaint is seeking $6,000 in damages. Well, you already have, according to you, that money invested in the car, which he got back. So you are entitled to that. And since that's the extent of your claim against the defendant, I'm granting your petition in the amount of $6,000. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished here. Thank you.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
There were a lot of factors going on, I believe, just between both of us.
I'm just more than grateful to finally get this over with. I've been waiting too long and
Just a lot, I think, that I had to work on, too.
fighting for it and put so much work and time into it.
A lot of the things that were going on in my head was me being depressed, having to deal with a lot of what was going on in the world at the same time, too.
Well, he was like trying on makeup and stuff when we were together, and I was showing him how to do makeup, and I was being very supportive and just telling him, you should get help, go get a therapist.
I felt like she was pushing me away.
And I don't know why he thought the other way around, because
We just both go our separate ways, and we both just try and be happy. And
I didn't know what to do, and what I was doing I thought was supportive.
Sarah and Judy.
That must have been a very difficult breakup for both of them after being together for a significant number of years. But that's tip number 1 of Judy Justice is never put your hands on someone. And tip number 2, never purchase property, dogs, cars, timeshares with someone who's not your legal partner or without a contract. I mean, we've seen this time and time again.
Those people who don't follow that advice have kept me in business for 27 years.
We'll keep telling them that.
You're right. Case number 2021, Parker versus Miles. All parties, please step forward.
Frankie Parker is suing his tenant, Miranda Miles, for the cost of a French bulldog.
Mr. Parker, this case is about a puppy that you allegedly sold to the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
That you want to be paid for. She has some sort of nonsense counterclaim.
Yes.
Which I will get to and resolve quickly.
Great.
So, Mr. Parker, you have a home that has 2 units in it?
We have a triplex, so it's a house and then it's a triplex behind the house.
So you live in the main house?
Yes.
Behind the main house, there are 3 units?
Yes.
When did you rent one of the 3 units to the defendant?
I rented it to her around February. I think I put the ad in early February.
Of what year?
2022.
Is that correct, Ms. Miles, that you moved into the unit in approximately February of 2022?
It was March, but yeah.
You put the ad in February?
Yes, ma'am.
Moved in March. And what was the rent that you had?
$1,250.
Do you have children?
Yes.
How many?
1.
How old?
9.
According to what I read, you decided to go into the dog breeding business.
Yes, ma'am.
You knew nothing about dog breeding.
Well, I know about dogs, but I didn't know about French bulldogs. That was kind of new to me.
What is your regular business, sir?
Property management.
Other than the property that you live in, do you have any other property that you manage?
Yes, ma'am.
You're really supposed to be sort of an expert before you go into the breeding business.
Yeah, well, I
dog
had a
breeding
lot of
business.
help.
That's sort of a foolhardy thing.
I had a lot of help. I wasn't by myself. I had people that was already breeding. They had 20 years.
Okay,
30
so
years
you had
experience.
somebody to
Yes,
give
ma'am.
you sort of instruction.
I didn't just jump into it.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And you decided to breed French bulldogs.
Yes, ma'am.
You purchased your first 2 French bulldogs, a male and a female, when?
I purchased them around January.
Of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you bought another one.
Yes, ma'am. Another good
When
female.
did you purchase the other one?
I bought the other female around February.
Okay, that's about the same time that you posted an ad for this unit that you moved into.
Yes, ma'am. All around the same time.
And that dog, I believe, based upon my recollection and my memory isn't what it used to be, I think the dog's name is Dolce.
Dolce, yes, ma'am.
How old was Dolce when you purchased her in February?
She was approximately 3 months.
How much did you pay for her?
I paid $3,200 for her.
And did you have AKC papers for her?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, According to your complaint, when the defendant moved in, she moved in March, she moved in with a 9-year-old daughter. The 9-year-old daughter saw this dog, Dolce, became attached to the dog, fell in love with the dog, and the defendant agreed to purchase the dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And you acknowledge that you agreed to purchase the dog.
Yes.
In March of 2022, how much did you agree to pay Mr. Parker for the dog?
When I rented the apartment, he's told me $2,500.
No,
He told you
that's
20.
not true.
Now,
He said 35.
Shh.
He comes to my house, knocks on my door randomly all the time. He put cameras on
Then
all my
move.
neighbors.
Listen
I
to me.
don't have the money.
Listen to me. Well, that's again not his problem. He wants his rent on time, and he would like to be paid for his dog.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Frankie and Miranda.
Frankie Parker claims his tenant, Miranda Miles, owes for the cost of a French bulldog. Miranda is countersuing for harassment and invasion of privacy.
Miss Miles, I want you to think more clearly. Try to be clear. He had just paid $3,200 for the dog.
I didn't know that.
So, according to you, he agreed to sell you the dog for $2,500.
Yes, and then he changed it to $35 when I moved in.
Oh, so before you moved in, he said $25, but after you moved in, he said $35. Did you agree to pay him the $35?
Yes.
Okay, so now you have an agreed price of $3,500, which sounds more reasonable than $25 because he paid more for the dog.
Yeah, that's not entirely true. I told her $5,000 at first.
Okay.
But we'd do a co-ownership, which brought the price down to $3,500.
Okay, right now, she agreed to pay you $3,500.
Yes.
She doesn't understand from co-ownership. You're talking about breeding down the road. Did you pay him any part of the $3,500?
No.
Okay, now let's go further. Are you still living in the unit behind him?
Yes.
So now that's March, April, May, June, July, August. Did you pay March's rent?
Yes.
April?
Yes.
May?
Yes.
June?
Yes.
July?
Yes.
And August?
Not yet.
Did she pay everything except August so far?
Yes, but I had to take her to court to almost evict her to get the money.
Okay. When did you start eviction proceedings? In what month?
I started eviction proceeding in June.
How much behind in rent was she?
She was just that month, but she had been late 2 prior times, so.
Okay. How late is late?
Well, I give you a grace period up to the 4th. Sometimes it's like the 10th.
Sometimes it was like the 10th.
Yes.
So we're not talking about months late.
No, she always paid.
When you took her to court to evict her for non-payment of rent, she came up with the money.
Yes.
Now, we're August 5th now. Did you pay your rent?
Not yet. Honestly, I'm struggling. I'm unemployed right now, and he knows my situation with my bank and my account right now, and he knows why. I have no funds at this moment.
Oh, but that's his business.
I get it.
See, that's his business. Do you work?
Not at the moment.
Why?
Because I got fired.
Why?
Because I didn't have transportation, and
So you didn't go. Well, if you don't go to work or if you come late, then you get fired.
Right, and I also have health problems that I've been going through as well.
That is also, Miss Miles, not his problem.
I know.
Now, I'm going to go back to something that Mr. Parker said, because I think that it's sort of important for me to be able to resolve your counterclaim, because for sure, you owe him the price of the dog, which you still have, correct?
Yes.
Did he discuss with you a co-ownership of the dog, which would mean that you would share the litters if the dog was bred?
Yeah, he did. I wasn't very clear about it, but yes, he did, and I was willing to do that, so I was able to afford the dog.
That's going to help me resolve the issue. And you gave him no part of the $3,500?
No.
So, do you want to tell me what your defense is to this? Because your counterclaim is ridiculous. I don't even remember what it is. For harassment, slander, invasion of privacy?
He comes to my house, knocks on my door randomly all the time, every day.
Then move. Just a second. Then move.
He put cameras
then
on all
move.
my neighbors.
Listen to me.
I don't have the money.
Listen to me. Move.
I don't have the money.
Well, that's, again, not his problem. He wants his rent on time, and he would like to be paid for his dog.
Right.
Okay, let's move on
Okay.
to something that's viable, okay? Let's talk about this breeding of the dog, which I think would be absolutely ridiculous. Have you taken the dog to the vet?
Yes.
Dog's gotten its shots?
Absolutely.
Okay. And other than the fact that you say you're not working, there's no reason that you're not paying him for the dog, which you originally agreed to?
No.
$3,500, judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you very much.
But, Your Honor, she's supposed to get full breeding rights. to
I'm
the
not
dog.
giving her full breeding rights to anything. She
Well,
can't take care of herself or her 9-year-old. She has no money. How is she going to breed a
But
dog?
we can't do the co-ownership.
No, well, you're not doing a co-ownership, sir. She just bought the dog for $3,500. Period.
That wasn't
you
the
keep,
agreement.
Oh, just a second. You keep the papers. Do you understand?
Okay.
Do you keep the papers? She
Yes,
doesn't
ma'am.
get the AKC papers.
Okay.
She keeps the dog, which means she's going to take care of the dog, get it spayed, do whatever she's supposed to do with the dog.
Okay.
You get $3,500, and don't make deals like this again. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Great.
This court is adjourned.
I wanted either to have the full dog and not no co-ownership, but I guess it didn't work out for me.
You know, I was trying to get the whole amount so we won't have to do a co-ownership anymore. She can either get the dog, the whole rights to it, or just pay me out.
I think he was trying to help me pay for it, and that's why he said the co-ownership, because I was unable to pay for the whole $5,500.
The whole rights to it, or just pay me out, you know.
I think that's what he was trying to do.
But I think overall the judgment was fair.
We live next door, so we have to.
I hope that we can actually do this together, and
We're good. Me and him are good.
I hope it does run smoothly and we don't have any more like mishaps.
Sarah and Judy.
The case itself was easy, Sarah. Promised you buy the dog. Your daughter is in love with the dog. And he said, well, I can't pay for it. This time, the dog's attached, and he seems like a very, very nice man. But we had 2 little Maltese dogs once. I don't know if you remember them.
I remember the
Do
stories.
you remember the story? You were too young to remember the dogs. They were 2 little yappy Maltese dogs. And we thought it might be an interesting experience to breed them.
Oh, yeah.
And
2 New York City judges.
Two New York City judges decided
breed
that it was the worst experience. First of all, I remember after, and I think we had 2 or maybe 3 in the litter, and I couldn't leave them home. So I would take them in a box in my car to the courthouse and open the
photographer Tavares Long for breaking their photo shoot agreement.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches the bench.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2013, Davis versus Long.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Davis, what do you do for a living?
I'm a language interpreter.
For whom?
For hospitals or law offices.
Is it your own business?
Yes.
What languages do you speak?
Spanish and Portuguese.
Tell me how you met Mr. Long, who was a photographer.
I met Mr. Long as part of a social cycling group that I'm a part of. And so they have weekly cycling rides, and he's always there, and I'm usually there too.
So according to what I read in your complaint, you got to chatting with Mr. Long, and sometime in October of 2021, so not quite a year ago, the two of you discussed him taking photographs of you to be used on his website, on his business website. That's a photography website, sir?
Yeah, but we didn't discuss, we just discussed doing a photo shoot together. Yeah.
Well, that's what I said.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Don't say no unless,
Yeah, I mean.
I already live with people who say no just to say no.
Tavares grins.
You discussed taking photographs of her for your website, doing a photo shoot, and in exchange for that, she would get a free copy of the photographs. That's what you discussed.
Yes.
That a fair statement?
Yes.
Is that a fair statement?
Of some of the photos, yes.
I don't think that you said some of the photos. You said, you sit for a photo shoot for me, that I can use the pictures on my website.
That's not what.
Well, are you in the business of photography?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that how you make your living?
Yes, ma'am.
People paying you to take pictures of their wedding, communion, bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
Right? Anything else? Birthday parties. And in order to do that, you have to show off your best work.
Yes.
And if you ask a model to do that, so that you could use a model, just as you get paid for your work, so would the model.
Right.
So what you did with her was barter. You bartered her time in sitting for a shoot for her to get something in return, which were copies of the photographs. That doesn't mean that she owns them. You were free to use them on your webpage, on your business webpage. Am I outlining your case?
Yes, more or less.
Okay, so now I will summarize what the case is about. According to what I've read, the two of you looked at the photographs and you picked out about 30 that you liked, according to somebody. He got you the 30 pictures, but then you saw a picture, don't shake it, you saw a picture that you didn't have that was posted on his website that he hadn't given you.
Well, he hadn't given me any of the pictures. I was able to view some.
With 30 photographs downloaded so that you could see them on your computer.
No, he sent me a Google Drive link for 29 photos.
Okay.
That I couldn't download. I could only view.
Okay. Did you tell him that you couldn't download them?
Yes.
Did he repair that?
No.
So now you want to be compensated to the tune of $2,500 for using your pictures on social media. That's what you asked for in your case.
Yes, for using them to promote his business.
That's okay. Well, you knew he was going.
I did.
Okay, Miss Davis, you knew that he was going to use the photographs to promote his business. That was your contract.
Mm-hmm.
That's not that's a yes.
Yes, ma'am.
That was your contract. Your complaint is that he did not fulfill his entire end of the bargain by getting you copies of all the pictures.
Yes.
Okay. And you have a nonsense counterclaim, Mr. Long, because you want money for compensation for a photo shoot. That was never...
No. Well, what I want money for is a nonsense counterclaim for a nonsense suit.
No.
What I want money for is if she wants me, because she actually, I want you to take down every photo and delete everything you have. Well, if you want to, that means if you want to own the rights to the photos, this is what it's going to cost you.
You've not, just a second. She doesn't want all the rights to the photos. She can't.
That's what she called me saying.
Okay. But she can't modify the agreement.
Agree.
If I find, which seems absolutely logical, and I don't know why you just wouldn't do it, give her the photographs, which you bargained for, so that she got copies of them in exchange for you using them on social media. That seems to be perfectly simple, Mr. Long. Did she ever notify you that she couldn't download
No.
the 29?
You know when she notified me? So in May of this year, which is Women's History Month, I was daily, I post some photos of women I took photos of and just kind of like honor them for Women's History Month. So on like May 5th, with 5th day of Women's History Month, I posted.
Slow down.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry about that. So I posted 3 photos of her to say, hey, I want to honor, a friend of mine. It's Women's History Month. Just kind of I thought I was doing a nice thing. So then she calls me. I was picking my daughter from school. Well, she emailed me. I don't know if she emailed me first.
Does this have something really important to do with this case?
Yes.
Oh, well, they'll get there, please.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
not interested in picking your daughter up from school.
But you asked me when did she notify me. So 5 months later, she notified me in May. The photo shoot was in November. But you asked me when did she notify me. She told me this right as all of this, as she wanted to start an argument.
Mr. Long,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
can talk from today till tomorrow.
I know, I'm long-winded.
What the agreement
Yes, ma'am.
is clear. She sat for you. How long was the photo shoot? Don't look at me. How long was the photo shoot?
Almost 5 hours.
How long was the photo shoot, Mr. Long?
No, it's about about 3 hours. About 3 hours.
Okay, so anywhere between 3 and 5 hours.
Ma'am.
Anywhere between 3 and 5 hours.
Well, it definitely wasn't 5.
She said
it was wintertime, so it got dark early. We were outside at Cascade Nature Preserve. So
I'm getting so bored.
I know,
with
I'm
you.
sorry. But yeah. It was,
Anywhere between 3 and 5 hours. And if you shot 100 pictures during that time?
Oh, no, much more. So
how many pictures did you shoot?
Probably 300-400. I mean, it was a lot.
Not so.
No, yeah, well, because this is important. So what happened is that we did a lot of motion shots. So which means that I put the camera in high continuous shutter mode. So while she's moving, I'm capturing I'm just taking photos, right? And then we choosing out of which motion that look best.
Oh, just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to send her the copies of the photographs that you took.
That was an agreement, Your Honor. Because why would I send you every photo and I'm going to have work out there with my name on it, that something, because you blinked and we moving. We're taking action shots. I'm never,
just a second. Do you think, hey.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that this woman is going to put out a photograph anywhere that looks terrible of her?
Yeah, see,
that would be
right.
That would be ridiculous.
See, we have a difference in opinion, right? She may think this is a nice one, and as a photographer, I'm like, and another photographer sees it, they're like, this is kind of garbage, right? And so I'm never going to give somebody something that I wouldn't approve of myself.
Oh yes. Well, what I'm telling you, Mr. Long, was that was not your agreement.
Yes.
Okay, then I'm going to, in 30 seconds, you commiserating with each other from this cycle group, whatever it was, and I want you to tell me your memory of the discussion with the plaintiff about the photographs, about her sitting for you for a photo shoot. Then I'm going to hear hers. Quickly, what is your memory of the discussion, initial discussion that you had with her over her sitting for a photo shoot? Don't make things up. No. Mr. Long, then just tell me.
This is factual.
Then just tell me.
Yes. So we were at a social gathering. It was a holiday party for one of the groups that we are part of, right? So we were at this bar called Handlebar in Atlanta, and we were talking, and I was doing some shooting inside of the party, right? And she says, hey, we ought to shoot together sometime.
That's not true.
Just a second.
Yes,
you're going to have a chance. Don't interrupt him. Just keep going. And you understand, I know the difference between rain and someone peeing on my leg.
Right.
I just know the difference.
I'd never pee on
Okay. Let's move on.
Right. And so we were at
So you were at a party. Hey, you're taking pictures. And she said to you, hey, come on, let's go.
Yes. Hey, we should do a shoot together sometime.
Okay.
And I was like, that would be cool.
Okay.
Right. And then so she reached out to me. So the Braves won the World Series last year. She reached out to me a little before the Braves won the World Series and said, hey, would this day be good? And I was like, well, it's going to be kind of cold. This is going to be going on. So the day that the World Series parade was, which was November 3rd. Right, November 3rd is the day that we shot, because after the Braves, I went and met her.
Just a second. Do you have any idea how disinterested I am in these facts?
I know, but
okay, Mr. Long, before she got there, you had an arrangement, and if you can't tell it to me in a cogent way, I'm going to ask her, and I'm going to believe her. Do you understand?
I do.
Caption coming up.
I'm looking for your version of the contract.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So just give it to me. I don't care who was playing baseball. I don't care who was in the finals. It means nothing to me.
Tavares grins. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Princess and Tavares.
Princess Davis claims photographer Tavares Long broke their photo shoot agreement. Tavares is countersuing, saying Princess owes him for the rights to the pictures.
Okay, you're at a bar,
Yes.
you're taking some pictures.
Yes.
You're taking some pictures. She comes over to you. She said, how about a photo shoot? You say, fine.
Yes.
I'm looking for your version of the contract.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So just give it to me. I don't care who was playing baseball. I don't care who was in the finals. It means nothing to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Just tell me the contract that you had with her. There had to be a contract.
Well, other than us verbally, there was no written contract.
That doesn't have to be a written
so you want
contract.
just what we verbally said? Yes. So then after that, we agreed to meet up, right? And then once we finished shooting, because we never discussed how many photos were going to be sent, right? Until we actually looked at the photos together, Your Honor. We looked at the photos. She said, "Oh no, I don't like this one because there's something."
Just a second. You looked at the photos on the date of the shoot?
No. Well,
When?
She looked at some of them on the camera, but not every photo that on the camera. But
when did you look?
Oh, I sent it to her on November 6th. I emailed her. So November 3rd is when we shot. November 6th is when I sent her the photos.
How many did you send her?
29.
Okay, but you didn't send her all of them.
No, because that wasn't an agreement.
Well, I didn't hear the agreement. I didn't hear anything about an agreement.
We didn't have a specific number.
I didn't hear anything about an agreement.
That wasn't
okay, good. Now you have to be quiet.
Yes, ma'am.
Now tell me your version. Make sure that I get exactly the case.
Okay. On October 15th, we were both at a holiday event from one of our social groups, and he actually came up to me. And he was like, "You're beautiful. I would love to shoot you. I'm trying to build up my photography practice." And I was like, "Okay, what do you want to do? Like a, barter thing where I get a copy of all the pictures and you can use them to promote." And he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "We can talk about it this week."
Oh, so what he said to was, "Yeah, we can talk about it this week."
Mm-hmm. And we had another phone call.
Keep going.
To solidify that I would get a copy.
No. Don't say solidify. Solidify is a conclusion.
Okay.
What I want you to tell me is after that meeting, you had another conversation.
Yes.
Did you call him or did he call you?
I called him.
Yes.
And I said, "Okay, so I know you had talked about the shoot. Like, what were you interested in doing? I know you talked about the barter." And he was like, "Yeah, I'm building up my practice. I would love to shoot you." And I asked him, I said, "Okay, so I'm going to get a copy of all the pictures, right?" "Yeah, you'll get a copy of all the pictures."
God.
I asked him then, I said, "Do you have a makeup artist?" Because I've done this agreement before with other photographers. and
I
this
would
is a pretty
like you to be
standard
quiet.
agreement.
Hey.
Okay.
I would like you to be quiet.
I will.
This is a pretty standard agreement with
No.
photographers and
Listen.
models. Okay, I'll go back to it.
I'm not interested in that or the Atlanta Braves.
Yes. So basically what it was is I would get a copy of all the pictures. I would also do...
I don't want to hear basically. I want to hear what you said to him and what he said to you. I don't want to hear anything else.
I said...
So now you're shocked.
And I will get a copy of all the pictures.
Just to see, keep saying it again. I heard you the first time that you would sit and you would get a copy of the pictures.
Yes.
And he said, yeah.
Yes.
As I can imagine him saying to you.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I didn't.
You get an A for annoying. Which is not where you want to be here.
It's not.
Because this is really a very, very simple situation.
Yes.
Really simple. Of the pictures that you took of her, be very careful because she has it. Of the pictures, the 29 pictures that you sent to her, did those 29 pictures contain all of the pictures that you ever put up on your website? Or did you use any of the other pictures that you took from the photo shoot on your website? Do you understand my question, Mr. Long?
I do.
Did you use any photos other than the 29? That's either a yes or a no.
She told me yes, there's one.
Just a second. She told me.
That's what she told me. Well,
Mr. Long,
yeah.
not she told me. When you had a conversation with her subsequently, and she said to you, "I saw you put a picture up on your website. It wasn't one of the ones you sent to me." A normal person who is a photographer, who is now having a dispute, would go back to the photographs and see which picture she was talking about and look to see the 29 pictures that you sent, and you would say, yes, it was one of the 29 pictures that I sent to you. My question is a simple one. Were any pictures that were not turned over to her ever used on your website?
So I want to be honest with you, right? So
no, that's either a yes or a no.
Right. Well, this is the thing. So
no, there's
this
no
whole
thing.
Conversation that she's talking
Mr. Long, there's no thing.
Yeah.
There's no thing to my question.
All right.
There's either a yes or a no. Were any photographs other than the 29 you sent her ever put up on your website?
Not to my recollection, because...
Okay, just a sec. So the answer is not to your recollection. Now I'll come back to you, Miss Davis. You did receive viewing copies of 29 photographs.
Viewing only copies, yes. Not copies, but access to a file, yes.
Okay, and there came a time when, according to you, you saw a picture on his website that was not a picture that you had a viewing copy of.
Yes.
Do you have that?
Yes. Give me 1 second. Where is mine?
And then the communication with him, if you have any communication about that photograph. Is this all clear to you, Whitney, this case? Is this clear to you? Is there anything that needs clearing up?
Okay, that is pretty clear. Message. This one was the specific one that I didn't recognize. I had seen.
No, I don't want to know that you recognized it. I want a picture that was not within the 29 photographs that he sent to you, and then any communication with him that you have via text message.
That's the text message.
That's a lovely photograph.
Thank you.
Yeah, she got it for free.
Text messages. You can also...
Judy reviews a document.
Happy Monday sent you all the photos you liked back when we took them. Okay. So what she's saying to you here is that she feels very uncomfortable about you having pictures of her that she doesn't have copies of and having them accessible to you to post. I just want to finish this back and forth.
Yes, ma'am.
She does say, if you don't want to send her all the pictures, just delete them all from whatever hard drive you have and take her pictures down from any social media. Did you do either one of those things? That's what this back and forth seems to talk about.
I didn't, and I was never going to do it. Because...
Okay, just a second. I didn't ask you if the answer is no.
Okay, no.
Where are the photographs now, Mr. Long?
The photographs, I use, scan disc, so they're on the SD card.
So very easy to make another one and just give her a copy, is that right?
No.
What, it's hard? Is that hard, Sarah, to make a copy of that memory chip? What do you have to do?
I don't think so.
I mean, I've seen people do that before. They plug something in, they plug something in at the other end, and then one transfers to the other. Am I wrong?
It's not hard, no.
What?
It's not.
I think he's saying it's not impossible. He's just not going
nothing's
to do
impossible. But one, I don't send all photos to anyone. I've never sent every photo that I've taken of someone. I've never done it.
Then, Mr. Long, I don't care what you've never done.
Right.
Then, shh. Why don't you try listening?
Princess smirks. Caption coming up.
Well, the one that tends to benefit the most from the contract, business-wise, is you. You see, these photographs are not her business.
You want to use these photos for her business.
Do you see my mouth moving?
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you be quiet and just listen?
Tavares grins. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Princess and Tavares.
Princess Davis has accused photographer Tavares Long of withholding photos from their photo shoots. Tavares says he can keep the photos he chooses because he owns them.
Okay, if there is ambiguity in an oral contract, two things should happen. First of all, the one that tends to benefit the most from the contract, business-wise, is you. That's not her business. You see, these photographs are not her business. She does...
You want to use these photos for her business.
Do you see my mouth moving?
Yes, ma'am.
She works as an interpreter. So she doesn't need for her job as an interpreter photographs like this. They're nice to have to look through a book, nice to have professional photographs taken. I know Sarah loves to do that.
All right.
But this is your business.
It is.
And if you put up, why don't you be quiet and just listen? If you put her picture up on your website, you're the professional at photography, so that you have to create a contract. You, not her. This is a sport for her This is social.
She said she models and she wants something for her portfolio.
She may want something, which is why she sat for you. She doesn't have the photograph, so you have two choices. Either you give her a copy of that drive that you have. You still own the pictures. Anytime that she wants to use the pictures, you have to get credit for the pictures.
I'm never going to give somebody every photo because I don't want any work out there that is not standard for my business to be out there and somebody post it. We took action shots. I'm not giving you shots and you blinking.
Mr. Long, Mr. Long, you came here and signed a document before you came into court today that you were going to be bound by any decision that I made. If you read the contract that you signed, that's what it said.
Okay.
So where do you come from? What city and state?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. And how did you get here?
Flew.
Yeah. And who paid for that?
I'm assuming you did.
Right. And when you got here, you stayed in a hotel. And I assume you want to go home to Atlanta.
I do.
Eventually.
How long? You gonna...
No, I assume. And when you came here, sir, you also got a fee, an appearance fee. Is that correct?
Correct.
And how much did you get as an appearance fee for trying your case before me?
I can disclose that.
What, disclose it? I'm asking you a question. You're under oath.
I thought you wasn't supposed to.
No,
talk
listen
about it.
to me. Don't look at her.
Okay.
Listen to me.
All right.
How much of an appearance fee are you being paid to have your case tried before me?
$300.
$300. And you'd like that $300?
I mean, yeah.
What?
Yes, I would. Man.
So this is what I'm telling you. I'm holding your $300 until she gets a copy of the hard drive with the photographs on it.
Okay.
So if you don't give it to her, it's going to cost you at least $300. You're just lucky I'm not taking your airline ticket as well.
Yes, sir.
When a contract that is verbal is interpreted, because there may or may not be a meeting of the minds in a verbal contract, but it seems to me that you were, and you're the business professional, so you're loosey-goosey. You sit for me, and I want to use it for my website. Can I get copies of the photos? Yes, I can get copies. Yeah, you can get copies of the photo. Then you sent her copies of the photos, and then you took down the site. It's not my fault that you didn't do anything. So this is my judgment. She gets copies of the photo shoot that was conducted in November of 2021. She gets copies of those photographs. Anytime she wants to use any of those photographs for anything, any publicity, it has to have your name on it, so send it to her, who the photographer was, and you have to get credit for it. You own the photographs. They are your photographs, but she gets copies of them because I cannot ascertain, other than listening to you, I can actually hear you saying, sure, you're going to get copies, and then you selected the ones that you wanted to select. Anyway, that's my judgment. You get copies, your counterclaims dismissed. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Tavares, then Princess.
I don't agree with it.
I'm glad that it's over.
No photographer is ever going to send somebody 100% of any photo that they took.
He owed me those photos. That was our agreement.
I don't want work out there that doesn't represent me.
I don't understand why anyone would want to hold photos from somebody that was doing them a favor.
It just changed who I do business with.
I mean, it's just like the judge said, why would I put a bad photo of myself in public?
What they may believe is good may not be what I believe is good.
It makes no sense. He's just a total liar.
I thought I was doing something for a friend and for free.
We weren't really friends. We were like social. Like, he's inflating that.
Now, they don't matter if it's free or not. I do put it in writing.
Just go to a different photographer. Don't even waste your time.
I think we have a difference of opinion on that one.
Okay.
My roommate from college is a professional photographer who has done sort of a similar arrangement with me, and I've learned a lot from her about the ins and outs of the photography business. And I know that a big problem for photographers is they don't want the raw, unedited, like the defendant was explaining, photos of out of, say, 400 or 500 out in the world if they haven't put their photographer edit or touch on it yet, which I can understand if that's their business. So if I were ruling, I would have maybe, it's hard to split the baby in half per se, but said 50 photos out of, she only received the 29. So maybe if he had edited up to his standards, 50 of the photos and delivered her downloadable versions, but I understand that's sort of rewriting history from a loosey-goosey type.
Well, it's rewriting
arrangement.
a contract. It is, and I actually see your point, but that would have required a lot of work for him.
Yeah, but he is the businessman. He should have had the contract to begin with.
Well,
and if
that's
you're
true.
going to be making statements to someone that you're going to give them all the photos, even though that's against what I know to be standard practice, then you're sort of out of luck. Then you're going to have unedited photos with your name attached to them. And as a photographer, you should really have more
Truck engine and repair costs.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2022, Greniger versus Intel.
Thank you. Mr. Greniger, how long have you and the defendant been friends?
I've known Sean probably maybe 3 or 4 years now.
From where?
He lives about 3 blocks away from me. I've met him through another friend that told me he worked on his vehicles before.
You did mechanical work?
Yes.
What kind of business are you in?
Construction, you name it, anything construction.
And you have a couple of trucks?
Yes.
How many?
I have one commercial vehicle and then I just have a Chevy Avalanche.
The commercial vehicle, would you describe it to me? That's the one he was supposed to work on?
Yes.
Describe it to me, please.
It's a 16-foot box truck.
How old?
A 97.
1997.
Yes, ma'am.
It's as old as Sarah.
Sarah nods.
And I suppose it needed a little work.
Yes.
And you took it to your friend.
Yes.
Did you drive it over there to his house 2 or 3 blocks away? Did you have it towed over to his place?
We had to have it towed over there. It was operable before.
But you had it towed?
Yes.
Yeah. And what month and year did you have it towed there?
I believe this started in June of 2020.
And Mr. Antel, you looked at it and you determined it needed a new engine.
Well, I looked at it. Actually, I did some work prior to that. The intake manifold gasket was...
You mean before June of 2020?
Yes.
And then the truck was running? Then he took back...
Running very crappy.
So it was not running well even after you fixed it?
After I put the intake gasket on, I had it started, it made the same noise. We decided to put an engine in it.
Okay, so it wasn't working after the initial work you did on it?
No.
Decided to put an engine in it. Now, how much was it to work on the engine?
He gave me a little bit of money here, a little bit of money there. It was not all in one lump sum.
How much did he give you?
It was 100 here once, 100 here twice, a couple different times, you know.
How much money did you give him?
800.
How much did you quote him for the whole job?
1,000.
So he gave you 800, and according to the papers that Mr. Greniger filed, he also purchased an engine.
Yes.
And this was in June of 2020.
I didn't get the motor at my house until I'm trying to think. It was in the winter, it was in December.
Of 2020?
Yes, 2020, yep.
Do you have the date that you purchased the engine?
Yes.
What was it?
January 7th, 2021.
Okay, so the truck sat on his property for 6 months.
Yes.
Before you got the engine, which was needed to fix it.
Yes. He said it was the intake plenum.
Was that in June of 2020?
Yeah, that's when it began. That's the whole...
Okay. When did he tell you that you needed an engine? In what month? Do you recall?
That was in January.
So the truck sat there, and finally you told him that it needed a new engine, but it was already sitting there for months.
I told him 2 or 3 months prior to that.
Okay, so it was sitting there for 3 months or 4 months?
Yes.
And he'd already paid you the $800?
He gave me a little bit here and there, yes.
They already paid you the $800 towards the 1,000. So this is what the case is about. The truck has never been fixed. He doesn't have the engine anymore. He scrapped the engine, according to him. Yes. So you want what you paid for it, the engine.
Yes, Your Honor.
First of all, Mr. Ansel said, well, he worked on another truck for you, a smaller truck, and so that ate up the $800. And you didn't come for the engine, and finally he just sold it for scrap. Mr. Antel, were you very busy during this period of time?
Not really, no.
Well, could you tell me why it took 3 months for you to tell him that he needed a new engine?
He knew after I put the plenum gasket back on. I called him on the phone.
What month?
It had him in November, right before Thanksgiving.
So at the end of November. So you had the truck since June. June, July, August, September, October. You had the truck 6 months. Could you tell me why?
Why? I had problems with it. I couldn't get the bumper off. I couldn't do none of that.
Well, but that's your responsibility. You undertook a job.
Yeah, I took the job because he was supposed to help me, and he never did.
He was supposed to help you put in the new engine?
Help me get the bumper off, and then I had problems with the city of Brooklyn Center.
No. He was supposed to help you get the bumper off, and because you couldn't get the bumper off, you couldn't do the engine. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, because it was rusted solid.
Shh. I assume, I've read your papers, I assume this is the mechanic that you say helped you work on another car for him that you gave money to?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why he's here.
Yep.
Okay. In what month and year did you fix this other car?
January
of 2021.
Of 2022.
So in January 2022, the truck was where?
The Avalanche.
The big one.
At his house, at Mike
And he
Ringer's.
brought you another truck?
Yes.
Which other truck did he bring you in?
The Chevy Avalanche.
The big truck, the commercial truck, is now back at his house.
Yes.
And it went back to his house because they were going to tow it from the city.
Yes.
And you say in January, he then brought you a different truck.
Yes, of 2022.
That you worked on.
Yeah, completed it.
Just a second. Do you recall that, sir?
No, it's not exactly how it went.
Did you, in January of 2022, did you bring him, you had the big commercial truck back at your house because it had to be moved.
Yep.
You hadn't gotten your $800 back.
Nope.
And he still had the engine.
Yep.
In January of this year.
Yep.
So, yep is not an answer, yes is an answer. So, why, sir, under those circumstances, would you bring him another car to fix? You have a driver's license?
It's currently suspended.
How long has it been suspended, Mr. Gruniger?
About a year now.
Now, why is that? Have you had accidents in the past? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, serious ones. Yes.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Michael and Sean.
Michael Griniger, claims truck mechanic Sean Ansel owes for a truck engine and repair costs. Sean is countersuing, claiming Michael filed a false police report against him.
Now, you hadn't gotten your $800 back.
Nope.
And he still had the engine.
Yep.
In January of this year.
Yep.
So, yep is not an answer, yes is an answer. So, why, sir, under those circumstances, would you bring him another car to fix?
Because then I had absolutely no transportation. I needed something to work.
Just a second. You have a big truck, you had a little truck. So the big truck is now immobile, it's at your house. And the only working vehicle that you had needed work on it.
Yes.
So you brought it to him.
Yep.
Not yep. That's
yep.
yes.
Yes.
And he worked on it.
Yes.
Because it was inoperable.
No, it was operable, but he told me that...
Not he told you. You didn't bring it to him because he told you you were having trouble with it.
Yes.
What kind of trouble were you having with it?
There was a grinding
Oh, that's a big deal. Grinding sound.
Yes.
What parts did it need?
Well, he told me it was the transfer case.
Did he fix your truck?
Eventually, but it was the rear end.
Just a second. Eventually, did he fix, take your hands out of your pockets, did he fix the truck? The second one? The smaller one?
Yeah.
The one that you needed for
Yes,
transportation?
eventually, yes, he did. He put in a rear end.
Okay. Did you pay him for that?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
How much did you pay for that?
$300.
How long did he have it?
Oh, he did that within about a week.
2 days.
2 days. Okay. So it took you 2 days?
Yes.
Did you give him a bill for that work?
I didn't give him nothing, just a word of mouth.
He says that he gave you $300 to fix that car. Did he give you $300 to fix that car?
No, he did not.
Okay, do you have any proof?
$600 altogether.
Just a second. Would you please show me any proof that you have that you gave him $300 to fix that car?
I don't have proof of the money that I gave him. I just have the receipt.
He doesn't got it. Okay.
I just have the receipts for the parts that I bought for the vehicle.
Okay.
He first said it was the transfer case. I buy a transfer case.
Doesn't matter. He's working, so...
Yeah, but I paid him to do something. He took something apart of the truck. It wasn't even the problem. But yet I still paid him for it.
But this, quite honestly, I don't
And
understand.
then I paid him for the rear end, too.
I don't understand a couple of things.
Okay.
If I've been disappointed by a workman, as you clearly were, from June 2020 until January 2022, because they hadn't completed a job for you, despite the fact that you purchased the part, I wouldn't call that same mechanic back. I wouldn't call that same plumber back. I wouldn't call that same electrician back because I'd had a bad experience with them. So it confounds me as to why you would take another vehicle to him if you were so dissatisfied with his work.
Understandable.
Yeah. Well, so what?
Felt like I was in, in a tight spot, and I really couldn't
What kind of
afford.
tight spot were you in? Where do you live?
I live in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, that's a big town. There are lots of mechanics there. There are lots of auto repair, truck repair.
Yeah, but I really financially couldn't afford, legitimate.
Well, that's what happens when you deal with a legitimate. But I don't understand why an otherwise intelligent man would take his only semi-operating vehicle to the same person who had his truck for a year and didn't fix it. Listen, what'd you do with his engine?
I scrapped it.
Okay. Don't be mad at me.
Huh?
Don't be mad at me.
I'm not. I love you.
Okay, good.
Whitney grins.
Thank you. When did you scrap it?
The end of April of 2022.
Did you give him any notice that you were going to scrap his engine?
No, I did not. There's a false police report made against me.
Okay.
I have the case number and the officer's number.
Okay, just a sec. So you retaliated because that's your counterclaim, that he filed a false police report, as a result of which, and the false police report said that during the course of a heated argument about this truck, that he says that you pulled a gun and...
Did not.
Filed a police report.
Yeah. No, I didn't.
Joe?
You did.
Prove it. You can't.
Mr. Rantel.
Judy glares at Sean.
And that's your counterclaim, that he filed this false police report and nothing ever came of it except you were embarrassed by being questioned by the police in front of family members.
Yes.
And as a result of that false police report, you threw away his motor.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, you can't do that. That you can't do. How much did you pay for the motor, sir?
$690 plus I paid $100 for delivery of the motor.
I'd like to see the invoice for that.
I got the invoice for the motor, but
That's
not...
all I need.
Okay.
Michael hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
Thank you.
She reviews it.
So, Mr. Rantel, so that we're clear, you have to understand you can't get even by selling somebody else's property.
I didn't
What you
sell
do?
it. I didn't sell it. I
Scrap.
gave it away.
It doesn't matter. By disposing of. Let's make it disposing of. When you say you scrapped it, you mean nobody gave you $10 for it?
Not a dime.
Okay, then you can't give it away in retaliation.
Why
for
not?
filing.
Why not? It was in my possession.
No, because you took...
Try to put me in jail for not
just a
something I
second.
didn't do.
Just a second. I'm speaking. I'm speaking. You cannot sell someone else's property in retaliation for them doing something to you when you have legal recourse. Your legal recourse is to come here and file a case. You did it as a counterclaim and say he filed a false police report against me that I was using a gun. So that's what you do. The response to that isn't, I'm going to sell his property. That's not your response. When I used to sit in family court, I had young people, one of whom was selling drugs for a very long time, heavy drugs. Kid, 15, 16 years old. And he had 6 or 7 priors for selling heavy-duty drugs. And I tried that case, and there was no question he was selling drugs. And his lawyer's argument at the disposition stage of that case was he was selling drugs because his grandmother died. I said, I lost all my grandparents, and I was close to my grandparents. I did a lot of things. I grieved, lost my appetite for a while. I was sad, but I didn't sell drugs. So when somebody does something to you that you believe is against the law, your responsibility is you file a case against them.
Right.
You proceed legally against them. You don't take it out in another way, because that doesn't make a civilized society. Just doesn't. That makes sort of a vigilante kind of thing. So you shouldn't do that. So you have to pay him for his engine. Now, as far as the second piece of your case is the $800 that you gave him, I have no idea how much it was to fix your second car, but he did in fact fix it. And since you had no particular agreement with him on how much it was, and according to you, you couldn't deal with someone, you didn't have the funds to deal with someone who was, I think the word was legitimate.
Legitimate.
That's a problem that I can't resolve for you. Now let's get to this argument and his counterclaim. The argument that you had was over the truck.
The white truck? Yes.
Any truck. I don't care what.
Yes.
Truck. I'm not a truck girl myself. I like 4-door comfortable sedans. And this argument took place on what date? Why don't you tell me, Mr. Rantel, because this is your counterclaim.
It was the end of April.
End of April of 2022.
Yes.
And the police were called.
No, ma'am.
Yes, the police were called. They showed up at my place.
No, the police report is 7/25/22.
7/25/22.
May I see the police report?
Yes, ma'am. Your Honor.
That's a lie, because it was April.
I'm going to look at it. Just a second.
Judy reviews the document.
Yeah, time of occurrence, April 22nd, 2022. It was April.
Yeah.
Yes, I got him.
You don't need a truck, you don't need a car. You have no driver's license.
No, ma'am. Me and my son, we work construction together. He drives.
Do you know how old I am? Do you have any idea how old I am? You think that I believe that? It's only going 4 miles an hour.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Michael and Sean.
Michael Griniger is accusing truck mechanic Sean Antle of wrongfully selling his engine and threatening him. Sean claims Michael accused him of flashing a gun he never owned.
Now, I'm going to look at it. Just a second.
Judy reviews the document.
Yeah, time of occurrence, April 22nd, 2022. It was April.
Yeah.
Yes, I got him.
You have a driver's license?
It's currently suspended.
How long has it been suspended, Mr. Griniger?
About a year now.
What were you doing driving a vehicle?
I wasn't. They were towing the vehicle with a tow chain.
I understand that. But you drive a vehicle, sir.
I was steering the vehicle.
What does that mean, you were steering the vehicle?
Driving it.
The vehicle
Just-
moving at 4 miles an hour.
I don't care if it was
Behind-
running backwards. I just asked you. You have no license because according to the police, you having a driver's license would be inimical to public safety. That's what it says here. Now, why is that? Have you had accidents in the past? Yes.
Yes.
Serious ones? Yes. Okay. You don't need a truck, you don't need a car. You have no driver's license.
No, ma'am. Me and my son, we work construction together. He drives.
Do you know how old I am? Do you have any idea how old I am? You think that I believe that? It was only going 4 miles an hour. I will set the rules of what it is that means driving. You go 5 miles an hour, it's really not
He lives
driving.
3 blocks away from him. We were just
I don't care.
towing it down the street.
I don't care whether you were in the kitchen, he was in the laundry room. And when you spoke to the police, Mr. Griniger, there were 2 other witnesses, and you would not give them the last name or contact information for either of them. Is that right? That's what it says here, unless you're calling the
Yeah, I
police
didn't know
lies.
his last name. And
you wouldn't give them your son's name because you say he doesn't like police.
And that I want to make straight. That is not true. I would not tell a police officer my son
It should
doesn't
be
like
noted that
police.
Griniger stated that Michael Jr. would not give a statement because he didn't like police.
Right.
As well as
That's
Griniger
not
would
true. My
not
little
give a
brother's
phone
a
number
police
for Michael
officer.
Jr. I'm just telling you, I'm reading you what
I know, I'm
what
sorry.
you handed me. It's your evidence.
Yep, I'm sorry.
Okie dokie. Did you make an application, Mr. Griniger, for any sort of protective order against him?
No.
No. You were advised by the police that you could do that if you wanted to.
No.
Interesting.
Yeah, that report is interesting.
It was you, your son, and this person, Kyle, who were present, and only Mr. Antel. Is that right, when this confrontation took place?
Yes.
And according to you, you got out of your truck and you started walking towards him aggressively. That's according to you.
That's not
according.
true. He's 40 feet away from me.
No.
I can't hear that well.
According to you, I'm reading you what your police report says, sir.
Yeah, but
I'm reading what your police report says based upon what you told the police at the time back in April.
it's not entirely correct.
Griniger stated that he started advancing towards Antel. Griniger also stated that he called Antel while he was walking towards him. It should be noted that Griniger stated, and this is all on body cam, that he was walking towards Antel aggressively. Griniger stated that Antel then pulled what he described as a black handgun out of his sweatshirt pocket. He described it as black and silver trim. He stated that he did not point it or say anything, just showed it to him to make you aware that he was carrying. And after the police interviewed both of you and confirmed the 2 people with you were out and you were walking and confronting him aggressively, called his names, and could not confirm the fact that he had a gun, took out a gun, not pointed it to you, just showed you that he had it, they decided to do nothing. That's what you're telling me. That's what this report says.
Yeah, they didn't validate it as a threat.
They did not validate it at all.
Right.
Okay, so, Mr. Antel.
Yes.
What happened after that report is that police officers came to your house to ask you about that.
Yes.
Right? And you said, related practically the same thing that Mr. Griniger did to the police, that he approached you, that he called you a name, that he was aggressive. You said all of that.
Yes.
But you said you did not have a gun.
That's right.
Okay. And this is not meant to hold you criminally responsible for anything. Mr. Antel, have you ever had possession of a gun?
No.
Ever in your life?
No.
Did you ever purchase a gun?
No.
In your state, in order to purchase a gun legally, do you have to go through a process or is it a carry state?
You gotta go through a legal process.
You have to?
Yes.
Okay. Were you ever arrested for carrying a gun?
No.
Other than your statement that he showed you that he had a gun, and how far was he standing from you?
About 40 feet.
40 feet away. And you saw him take something out of his sweatshirt pocket.
He didn't remove it out of his pocket. He removed his hand covering it.
What does that mean?
It was in his pocket. He was wearing a hoodie.
How do you know it was in his pocket? What do you have, X-ray vision?
No, my son seen it because his vehicle was right alongside his vehicle. So my son seen it, and then when he got back in his car and pulled up another 10 feet and got out of his car, turned around and said, yeah, bring it, and a few expletives, and then pulled his hand out of his hoodie pocket and revealed the handle of the gun.
Just a second. So you're saying at that time you saw it?
Yes.
You saw it, not your son
My
40
son
feet away,
actually seen it on
not
the
son
feet
40
of his
feet away.
car.
That's a lie.
But you
And
saw
he reached in and grabbed it and put it in his sweater because when he got back out of the car to face me is when he decided to show me he had a gun.
Okay. Were you out of your truck at the time?
Yes, I was standing beside
Okay,
him.
so you were out of your truck. And what about your son? Was he out of the truck?
Nope.
He was in. What about Kylie?
He remained in the truck too. He was the one in front pulling the truck that I was steering, and he was following behind. It was a little convoy.
And Mr. Rantel was by himself?
Yes, he was driving down the street in the opposite direction.
Mr. Rantel, I am not satisfied, quite frankly, and cannot make a determination whether or not you had a gun or what appeared to be a gun or what appeared to be something in your pocket or whether you even moved your hand in your pocket to demonstrate maybe you had a weapon. I don't find that the acts that you allege that he committed by filing this false police report is something that I can justify giving you a financial award for, because I'm not so sure that you didn't have something in your pocket. I'm not sure. In any event, Mr. Rantel, you owe him for the engine that you discarded in a peak. You can't do that. Cost of the engine was $590, right? $590. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished.
Your Honor.
We're
Court
done.
is adjourned.
I was kind of in a hard spot. I needed my truck fixed.
Try to push me and push me.
I trusted him.
It didn't work today. I won.
Truck is inoperable. It's sitting in my backyard.
I worked for what he gave me.
So I really couldn't afford, like I said, a legitimate shop or a mechanic.
I've never owned a pistol.
Yeah, he's lying.
Basically, if I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna fight with my bare hands.
Don't do anything without any receipts.
Our friendship is through.
Judy and Sarah.
It's really hard when you have two difficult people, but there was something about what he said that had the ring of truth to it.
Very honest.
A directness. And I'm really not convinced. Were you?
No, I wasn't either.
That he had a gun.
It could have gone either way, and while I believed his outburst of innocence, I couldn't imagine making something like that up, but maybe that's just me. So it was really difficult. I don't think I could have made a determination.